He sits there like a king on his throne, commanding the room with his silence. Every girl steals a glance, unable to resist his magnetic pull. Billions sit quietly in his bank account. Combined with his god-tier visuals, he is the absolute definition of perfection. But Chen Yuan ignores them all. His gaze is locked on a single target, the legendary campus goddess, the woman every man dreams of possessing. Countless suitors have tried to conquer her heart, only to be crushed by her icy rejection. None were worthy in her eyes. One fool was so persistent, her fierce guardian literally stabbed him with a pen just for crossing the line. Then, Chen Yuan casually approaches the Ice Queen. Miraculously, she agrees to add him. The entire class gasps in shock. Jealousy explodes among the guys. They watch in disbelief as Chen Yuan charms the unreachable goddess with zero effort. But they don't know the truth. Just days ago, this powerful man was a hopeless loser, sitting alone in a dark dorm room, clutching his phone like a lifeline. The air felt heavy, suffocating Chen Yuan until he could barely breathe. A single text had shattered his world. His girlfriend dumped him without even a phone call. He let out a dry laugh, convinced it was just a sick joke. Denial flooded his mind. Fingers trembling, he typed a furious reply, asking what went wrong, begging for their future. He hit send, but a red error message stared back. She had blocked him completely. His roommate, Yuan Gay, shouted for a gaming partner, oblivious to the tragedy, but the protagonist ignored him and sprinted downstairs in a frenzy. Outside, the source of his misery stood waiting by the roadside, his girlfriend, who was now his ex. As he rushed toward her, the crowd began to whisper, "Look, it's the famous campus simp, the licking dog who chased her for 3 long years." He begged for a chance to speak, but she recoiled in disgust, hissing at him to stop embarrassing her in public. With trembling hands, he offered her favorite meal, a gift he worked 4 jobs just to afford, pleading desperately for her to stay. He vowed to change, to become whatever she wanted. "I'll fix everything, just tell me what to do." But her words struck like a physical blow. "I'm not mad," she said coldly. "I'm going back to my ex. He needs me more than you do." Chen Yuan's reality collapsed. He screamed, cursing the scumbag she once caught cheating. Right on cue, a luxury car pulled up to the curb. She stepped into the vehicle without a backward glance. "Let's never meet again." He stood there, frozen in time. A fire ignited in his eyes. He took the food meant for her and hurled it violently into the trash. His heart is pulverized, his throat burning with the ashes of rejection. He stumbles into a convenience store, drowning in self-pity, thinking, "Why is my genuine love always treated like trash? Am I cursed to be a pathetic simp forever?" Rage ignites in his veins like wildfire. He clenches his fist and decides, "Fine, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I am done being a dog. From now on, I will become a Sea King, the ultimate player." But just then, a sound cuts through the air. Ding. A holographic interface materializes out of thin air before his eyes. The words shimmer in blue light, "the licking dog system." It is a cheat ability so broken, his brain refuses to comprehend it. But before he can even blink, an angry scream explodes right next to his ear. A girl is screaming at him, accusing him of leering at her chest instantly. Another system window pops up beside her. It floats there, displaying her name, her stats, and a very specific notification. The rule is simple but terrifying. If he raises her affection score above 95 using the system, the roles reverse. She will become his obedient admirer. Chen Yuan stares, completely stunned. The balance reads, 9 trillion coins, 9 trillion. But there is a catch. He can only spend this astronomical wealth on women. Well, there is no time like the present. He decides to test this godlike power right here, right now. A confident smirk curls his lips. He looks the white-haired beauty in the eye and drops a bombshell. "You are stunning. Put whatever you want on my tab today." Hook, line, and sinker. With just one sentence, the trap is set, and she walks right into the system's grasp. Bystanders perk up. Whispers ripple through the store as they recognize her. It is the legendary beauty of the art department, and she is notorious for being a difficult target. Rumor has it she once drained a guy of 30,000 with just 3 sentences. She raises an eyebrow, challenging his sudden arrogance. "Oh, you think you can handle me? Go ahead and try." She decides to call his bluff. She smiles sweetly and says, "Well then, I want to treat all my friends here to snacks. Can your wallet handle that?" She scans his cheap clothes, her eyes full of mockery. She is expecting him to panic, to apologize, to flee in embarrassment. But Chen Yuan does not flinch. He taps his phone. Ding. A transfer notification rings out. He didn't just pay for snacks, he sent 50,000 directly to her account. The crowd gasps. Eyes widen in disbelief. They look at his shabby clothes and then at the money. Is he a sleeper agent, a hidden rich, second-generation heir, just pretending to be poor, who throws 50,000 away like it is loose change? He casually asks, "So, can I add you on WeChat now?" The white-haired beauty stands frozen, her mind rebooting after seeing that astronomical balance hit her account. A greedy glint flashes in her eyes. She recovers quickly, leaning into his personal space with a seductive smile. "What is the rush?" she purrs. "WeChat is the least we can do." "But first," she whispers, "I want to take you somewhere special." Chalet has a ruthless plan to bleed the sheep dry. She drags the main character straight to the luxury district, aiming for a high-end designer brand store. With a straight face, she clarifies, "Don't get me wrong, I am not a gold digger. I just need to see your sincerity and your attitude before we move forward." Little does she know, our boy needs this intense start. He laughs and waves his hand dismissively. "Sincerity, no problem. Pick whatever you want." After all, he has trillions to burn and no other woman to test this broken system on. The game is on. A surge of adrenaline rushed through his veins. He was eager to test the limits of the licking dog system on a new target. As they stepped into the luxury brand store, the scent of money filled the air. They browsed the designer bags until, suddenly, a familiar voice cut through the silence. The wretched woman who had dumped him only 1 hour ago. That ex-girlfriend was currently fawning over her new man, the one who drove her away in his fancy car, asking him if the expensive bag she posed with made her look beautiful. But her so-called prince, charming, he was glued to his phone screen, treating her questions like empty noise. Caught off guard, the main character's composure slipped. He accidentally called out her name, causing the girl to spin around in shock. The protagonist froze, staring at his ex-girlfriend as the heavy atmosphere of their past collided with the present. Beside him, the white-haired beauty read the room instantly. The tension, the recognition. She realized immediately that this woman was his ex. She smirked, teasingly stating that they must have arrived at a bad time. But the protagonist's eyes went cold as he declared that, on the contrary, the timing was absolute perfection. Taking the hint, the white-haired girl sashayed over to a sales associate and loudly asked if the spring collection bag was still in stock. The lady hesitated, answering that there was only one left, and it was currently in the clutches of the main character's ex-girlfriend. Recognizing him, the ex-girlfriend's face twisted in disgust. She assumed he was stalking her like a desperate dog. Determined to humiliate him, she decided to publicly demonstrate the vast difference between a loser like him and her wealthy new boyfriend. With a sugary voice, she called out to her boyfriend, loudly reminding him that a certain someone's birthday was approaching fast. The word birthday finally snapped him out of his trance. He frowned at Shuang, confused. Didn't we just celebrate that? She tried to explain the difference between her lunar and solar birthdays, but he cut her off, snapping that he despised materialistic women and asking if she was only with him for his money. Junkai's brutal words hit her like a physical blow. She stood frozen, completely shocked that he would be this straightforward in public. Her attempt to flex her boyfriend's wealth had spectacularly backfired, destroying her own dignity. Meanwhile, the white-haired girl had heard every delicious word. Realizing the cheapskate wasn't going to pay, the white-haired girl didn't hesitate. She stepped forward and snatched the bag right out of the stunned girl's hands without a word. And just by witnessing this ruthless exchange, Shuleli's favorability points toward the main character began to tick upward. Furthermore, when he casually slid his black card to pay for the bag, her favorability points didn't just rise, they doubled in speed. The protagonist smirked at the terrifying power of money. A single bag had boosted her affection by 60 points instantly. At this rate, he calculated that purchasing a few more luxury items would push Shuleli past the critical threshold. However, he frowned, Worried that the cashback multiplier was still too low, nearby, the sales staff began whispering among themselves after seeing the ex-girlfriend rejected. They gossiped about how the so-called rich men pinch every penny when it comes to their partners. While the men who look ordinary drop tens of thousands without blinking an eye, it was a harsh lesson. They finally understood why their manager forbade them from judging dragons by their scales. Shillelagh listened to their praise and mused to herself. Bags are like boyfriends. The ones you snatch from others are always the best to use. Eyes gleaming, she decided to secure this big fish immediately. She strutted right up to our boy. "Husband," she chirped, clinging to his arm like a vine. She showered him with praise, deliberately provoking the ex-girlfriend with her intimacy. When Shuang saw them, jealousy exploded within her. She stormed past him in a rage, hissing that he had gone too far. As she fled the store, the protagonist smirked. Too far, he thought. Darling, we still have a long way to go. Junkai ran to catch up with her, but suddenly, the system chimed. The main character had been bound to a new licking dog relationship with his own ex-girlfriend. Once they stepped out of the store, the white-haired girl leaned in close, purring. "Well, were you satisfied with my performance back there?" Instead of answering her question, he simply kept walking, confused. The white-haired girl hurried after him. "Hey, where are we going?" He glanced back with a mysterious smile. "We aren't done. I can't let you be satisfied with just a single bag." The shopping spree truly began. He paid for item after item while the sales staff scrambled in a frenzy to please him. The art college girl stood there, holding designer bags in both hands, feeling a rush of adrenaline she had never known. Every time he swiped his card, her heart skipped a beat. She realized that when a man spends money this openly, he looks incredibly handsome. With every purchase, her favorability toward him climbed higher and higher towards the sky. Perfume added 5 points, makeup added 5 points, and when he bought clothes, another 5 points rose. She felt completely overwhelmed by the luxury. Shillelagh's arms were full, and she laughed nervously. "Stop. That's enough. I literally cannot carry any more." She expected him to stop. Instead, he looked at her with a calm, dominating gaze. "If your room cannot hold all of it, I will simply buy you a new house." At those words, her excitement instantly turned into a shiver of unease. She trembles as the reality sets in. They have only just met, yet he is burning through money like it is nothing. Fear begins to creep into her heart, causing her favorability rating to drop slightly. The protagonist instantly detects the shift in the atmosphere. The joy has vanished from her face. He realizes that his aggressive display of wealth might have terrified her instead of impressing her. He needs to salvage the situation immediately. He steps into her personal space, lowering his voice to a gentle, magnetic whisper to ease the tension. He shifts the focus from his wallet to her soul. He begins to list the tiny details of her life, proving that he has been watching her with sincere eyes all along. He recites her stats like he has memorized her very essence. Third-year student at the Academy of Arts. 21 years old, 165 centimeters tall, weighing exactly 49 kilograms. He knows her world is painted in her favorite color, black. He even knows how her eyes light up when she eats spicy Korean food. He continues his romantic assault. He knows she is a Capricorn. Shoe size 37. A girl who loves the thrill of horror movies yet is too terrified to walk alone in the dark. He lays his cards on the table. He wants her to understand that this isn't random charity. He is doing this because he truly likes her, and his passion drove him to act on impulse. Having made his point, he pivots back to the stunned store staff. He demands a membership card and instantly transfers 500,000 credits as a deposit. His voice carries the weight of a king. He commands them that whenever this lady returns, she is to be treated like royalty and shown only the absolute masterpieces. He presses the black card into her hand, calling it a mere apology trinket. The girl freezes. Her eyes widen, twinkling with a mix of shock and a sudden tender warmth. The atmosphere turns pink and fluffy. But just as the romance peaks, he decides to strike with a devilish tease. He winks playfully. He whispers that if she is still worried about the cost, she can always repay him with her body. The bold joke sets her cheeks on fire instantly. She stomps her foot, calling him annoying before fleeing the scene, but the system chimes. Her favorability score explodes, skyrocketing by 30 points in a single heartbeat. The onlookers are left in a trance. They whisper that while he may look average on the outside, His aura of generosity makes him shine brighter than a diamond. Some of the staff are already clutching their hearts, swooning over his irresistible dominance. Hearing the praise, our hero smirks. His confidence soars. He confirms a universal truth in this world. Flirting with cash hits much harder than empty poetry. Later, as the adrenaline fades, the girl realizes something peculiar. He showered her with luxury, yet his own hands remain empty. She has no idea his bank account is actually screaming in pain. But her heart makes a decision. She realizes that a relationship cannot be a one-way street. If she wants to stand by his side and build a future, she must be his equal, not just his trophy. She grabs his wrist. It is her turn to take the lead. She drags him through the racks, selecting the perfect fit, before shoving him into a high-end salon. When he emerges, the transformation is nothing short of miraculous. The hidden gem is polished. The plain student is gone, replaced by a sharp, charismatic gentleman. Seeing him, her heart skips a violent beat. Every time she glances at his fresh style, the system notifies him. Favorability +5. She cannot stop stealing looks at him, falling deeper with every second. Another glance, another 5 points. She realizes with a blush that he was actually a diamond in the rough all along. After the shopping spree, Shuleli is practically drooling. Our main character feels the heat of her gaze and scratches his cheek, flustered. He laughs nervously. He admits it feels a bit unnatural to look this good. He thinks to himself that this is the first time he has worn such dragon skins. Thank goodness he didn't have to foot the bill for this makeover. She reaches out, smoothing his collar. She assures him it is not weird at all. In fact, he looks like he was born to stand next to her. She takes a step back, beaming with a radiant smile. She thanks him for the date, whispering that for a moment, it truly felt like falling in love. She blows him a playful flying kiss and turns to leave. The system window flashes. Current favorability level, +8. Our protagonist returns to the dormitory, humming a tune, but the moment he opens the door, his roommates freeze in shock. Their jaws drop. They demand to know where he went and why he is dripping in such high-class fashion. He answers with casual confidence. Just a date with the goddess of the art academy. Of course, not a single soul believes him. They burst into mocking laughter. You couldn't even keep your ex-girlfriend. How could you possibly land the beauty queen of the arts department? They sneer, telling him to stop dreaming. The main character just smiles and nods, too high on success to bother with their ignorance. Suddenly, his phone buzzes. It is the ex-girlfriend. Her text is cold. If you hate me so much, just delete me already. His eyes narrow. If he blocks her, he loses a valuable connection for farming points. He needs her to level up his wealth system. He activates his acting skills. He types out a sickeningly sweet reply. He lies that she will always be his special girl. The hook works. She immediately launches into a sob story, claiming she is only dating that rich jerk to pay for her mother's medical bills. I am not a gold digger. I am just a desperate daughter. She drops the number, 50,000 credits for the hospital. Without a second thought, the main character hits transfer. Notification received. The girl gasps, nearly dropping her phone. She only said it as a test, but the money actually arrived. Her roommate sees her trembling hands. Who on earth just sent you a fortune? Is it your current rich boyfriend? The ex-girlfriend shakes her head slowly, staring at the screen. No, it was him. Her roommate fuels the fire, questioning the logic. If he was just dumped for being poor, how could a man like him suddenly possess such terrifying wealth? Even his ex-girlfriend feels the cold grip of regret. Doubt consumes her, and she convinces herself that she deserves an explanation for this anomaly. Suddenly, a notification chimes in his mind. The ex-girlfriend's favorability rises by 5. Smelling money, she instantly changes her tune and bombards him with messages. She demands to know the source of his fortune, questions the events at the store, and fiercely interrogates him about his relationship with the art college goddess. She even asks if he has been a hidden tycoon all along, but our main character simply scoffs, ignoring her flood of desperate notifications. He silences his phone with a cold smirk. Watching his ex-girlfriend squirm like this is far too amusing to stop now. However, he composes himself. He realizes that capturing Shuli's heart requires patience. It is a long game. To level up, he needs a new avenue to burn through cash and farm favorability points. Like a bolt of lightning, inspiration strikes. live streaming. These platforms are oceans filled with beautiful idols. By showering them with gifts, he can spend money at godlike speeds. He logs into a popular app and finds a streamer named Xiaomi currently live. She's in full idol mode, cheerfully thanking her fans for the digital scraps they throw, calling out usernames and blowing exaggerated kisses to the screen. She announces that the broadcast ends in 1 hour, urging the simps in the chat to hurry up if they want to be noticed. The main character grins. This is the perfect stage. Without hesitation, he taps the screen and drops a virtual nuclear bomb, a gift worth 1 million. She freezes, thanking the mysterious user before the reality hits her. She gasps, nearly fainting. The chat room explodes into chaos as the screen is completely obscured by luxury rocket animations. 100 rockets, each worth 10,000. The shark live streamer stares blankly, her mind unable to process the fortune that just materialized. It is not just her, the entire audience is shook to their core. Who in their right mind drops 1 million on a whim? But where there is light, there are shadows. Jealousy erupts in the chat as petty viewers start trash-talking the main character, boasting that they are the true rich bosses. Their arrogance annoys him. An ant trying to provoke a dragon, he decides to teach them the definition of true wealth and prepares another monetary shockwave. He unleashes the barrage again, but this time, he does not stop at 100, he fires off 900 rockets in a relentless stream. This insane transaction triggers alarms at the Shark Live headquarters. The entire server trembles, and a panicked employee sprints toward the executive office, screaming about a catastrophic event. He bursts into the CEO's office without even knocking, completely forgetting protocol. When he reports that an unidentified whale just dropped 10 million in a single channel, the boss spits his water across the room in sheer disbelief. The boss questions reality. He grabs the employee, asking if this is a glitch or if some criminal overlord is using their platform to launder dirty money. Meanwhile, in the streamer VIP lounge, chaos reigns. The other female talents see the system announcement. They frantically share the main character's IID, screaming at each other to send him private messages immediately. A man who spends 10 million in seconds is a prey they cannot miss. Their eyes turn into dollar signs. Just a fraction of his attention would cover their salaries for months. Driven by greed, they flood his inbox with seductive messages, desperate to become his next target. Back in the broadcast, Xiaomi is catatonic. She pinches her own cheek to ensure this is not a hallucination. Suddenly, a notification bell snaps her back to reality. She turns to see a staff member off camera, frantically holding up a whiteboard with a direct order from the big boss. The command is simple: secure this whale at all costs. If she succeeds, her commission jumps by 10%. A cunning smirk plays on her lips. She had no intention of letting this golden goose escape to another channel anyway. She turns on the charm, winking at the camera and thanking her Oppa for the rockets. She sweetly begs him to direct message her so she can grant him moderator privileges. But alas, the main character has already tossed his phone aside and fallen asleep. The poor streamer continues to spam his inbox, terrified of losing him. The next morning, sunlight hits his face as he is rudely awakened by the loud voices of his roommates. They are blabbering excitedly about the urban legend from last night, the mysterious tycoon who spent 10 million on the Shark Live app in under an hour. One roommate fantasizes about buying a dozen houses in his hometown with that kind of cash, while the other mocks his small-minded dreams. Their noisy gossip finally drags our boy out of bed. As he washes up, he checks the licking dog relationship binding list. His eyes widen in surprise. The streamer from last night is not on the list. He frowns. Does the system require face-to-face interaction to bind a target? A wave of annoyance hits him. Did he just waste all that money for nothing? Suspicious, the main character opens the Shark Live app to investigate the aftermath. He is instantly assaulted by a tsunami of private messages. Countless female streamers are begging for his attention. A mix of anxiety and amusement washes over him. It seems he truly kicked the hornet's nest last night. Suddenly, his roommates rush for the door, chattering about securing prime seats. Confused, our boy asks where they are going without him. They grin. Revealing their mission, they are heading to a general lecture, specifically to ogle the legendary campus beauty in that class. They admit they left him out on purpose. They claim he takes too long to get ready, and they refuse to miss their chance to see the goddess just because their roommate is slow. "Hey, are you coming or not?" one of his roommates shouted, snapping him back to reality and urging him to hurry up. He hesitated for a moment, but then the image of the legendary campus flower flashed in his mind. sparking a brilliant plan. Decisions made. The group of four marched toward the classroom, ready to catch a glimpse of the elusive beauty who ruled Lake University as the student union vice president. She wasn't just a student, she was the ultimate dream, a goddess walking among mortals. Every male student on campus worshipped the ground she walked on, captivated by her overwhelming perfection. And her resume was terrifyingly impressive: grade 10 piano virtuoso, chief of the ballet troupe, and a second-level elite athlete, all wrapped in breathtaking beauty. She was a solitary peak, a level of existence that no one had been able to reach for 3 long years. As the main character took his seat, his mind drifted to her, oblivious to the fact that the girls in class were secretly blushing at his stunning new makeover. Little did they know, our boy was plotting to extract a fortune from the campus flower, the hardest target of them all. Even his ex-girlfriend was watching from the crowd. Her group whispered frantically, shocked by his transformation and wondering if this was all a desperate ploy to win his ex back. A notification dinged in the void. His ex-girlfriend's favorability score was rising, her heart conflicted by his sudden glow-up. The system alert instantly caught the protagonist's attention, but he only felt a wave of disdain. Superficial, he scoffed internally. I change my clothes and suddenly you care. Casting her aside, he refocused on the prize: how to bind the campus flower to his system. Suddenly, a commotion broke out nearby. He watched as a confident fool approached the famous girl, calling her baby and demanding her WeChat contact information. That was a fatal mistake. The flower's roommate exploded with rage, stepping in to intercept the intruder. When the guy claimed he just wanted to make friends, the roommate snapped. She grabbed his collar and thrust a pen tip dangerously close to his eyeball. The protective roommate glared like a demon, demanding to know what dirty scheme he was cooking up. The terrified guy stammered that it was all a misunderstanding. I just wanted to join the student union, he lied through his teeth, sweat pouring down his face. He claimed he only needed the vice president's number for official business, a frantic attempt to save face. Pathetic, the roommate spat. Come up with a better excuse to pick up girls. Humiliated, the guy practically fled from the scene to escape her wrath. The campus flower gently calmed her friend down, though the roommate continued to curse at the retreating coward. Capitalizing on the chaos, the main character stepped into the line of fire. He called out to the beauty and bluntly stated he wanted her WeChat. The girl blinked in surprise, while her roommate's aura flared up again, ready to destroy another pest. The entire class watched with bated breath, finding the unfolding drama better than a movie. As our boy boldly presented his QR code, whispers rippled through the room, praising his bravery while predicting he would be trampled flat by the terrifying bodyguard. The roommate narrowed her eyes, acknowledging his guts, but she wasn't done yet. Let me guess, she asked sarcastically. Are you here to join the student union too? But the protagonist stood tall, radiating confidence. No, he replied instantly. I have absolutely zero interest in the student union. When pressed about his true intentions, he looked at them as if the answer were the most obvious thing in the world. The campus flower stared, confused by his silence, until he dropped the bomb. I just want to pursue you. He extended his hand, unwavering. The blunt confession hit like a shockwave. The campus flower froze, and her roommate's jaw dropped in sheer horror. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. Every single student was now fixated on this audacious challenger. They couldn't believe he had actually said it. They waited for the inevitable rejection, the brutal humiliation. But then, the impossible happened. The campus flower accepted his request and pulled out her phone to scan his code. Across the room, the ex-girlfriend's roommate nudged her, asking, Wait, isn't he chasing you? Why is he adding her? The protagonist smirked. He understood a fundamental truth: everyone desires to be admired. There was no need to hide it. Sometimes, the direct approach cuts through all defenses. After all, who doesn't like being pursued with such honesty? With that, the system chimed. Binding with the campus flower was successful. As the bell rang, the students poured out of the classroom, buzzing with excitement over the show they had just witnessed. His roommates swarmed him immediately, hailing him as a hero for securing the impossible goddess's contact info. They marveled at how much he had changed, though they lovingly joked that he was still a dog at heart. So, one roommate grinned. If you bag the campus flower, introduce us to her friends. But the main character shook his head. Don't get ahead of yourselves. I am still nothing to her yet. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension, agreeing with his statement from the shadows. The protagonist spins around to face the source of the noise, finding the same pathetic extra who was trying and failing to flirt with the student council vice president earlier. With a cold, arrogant smirk, our main character delivers a crushing verbal blow. I should be the one taking notes from you, he taunts. After all, when it comes to swallowing humiliation with a smile, you are the undisputed grandmaster. The insult strikes a nerve, fury explodes in the man's eyes, and he lunges forward like a rabid dog, but his friends scramble to restrain him before he can commit social suicide. Unbothered by the chaos, the protagonist simply turns his back to leave, dismissing the tantrum with a wave of his hand. But suddenly, the atmosphere shifts completely. A breathtaking silhouette approaches. It's the white-haired goddess from the art college, the very same beauty he showered with luxury handbags earlier. She chides our boy for keeping a lady waiting, and the crowd goes wild. This is the legendary straight guy slayer, the stunner who ranks 6th on the campus beauty hierarchy. Our hero plays his part perfectly. He jokes that keeping such an angel waiting is a crime worthy of death, before smoothly inviting her to a lavish dinner as atonement. She spins around, fishing for a compliment on her outfit, but our main character knows exactly what to say. The dress is lovely, but the way you carry that bag, absolute perfection. As the power couple struts away, they leave a trail of broken hearts in their wake, including his ex-girlfriend, who can only watch in bitter silence. The rejected orbiter from earlier grinds his teeth, muttering to the heavens about what he lacks. Suddenly, a ghostly voice echoes his exact sentiments from the shadows. He jumps out of his skin in sheer terror, wondering who could possibly be more miserable than him right now. He turns to find the main character's ex-girlfriend, tears streaming down her face, wailing in agony that she was supposed to be the first one in his life. Meanwhile, far away from the drama, the art college beauty makes her move. She pulls out a sketch pad and reveals a drawing of our protagonist. With a shy smile, she confesses that this is her gift to him, a masterpiece she spent the entire night creating. She playfully warns him not to toss it in the trash, but for a moment, our boy is genuinely stunned. In all his life, this is the first time a woman has ever given him a genuine gift. He stares at her, disbelief coloring his expression. She asks if he likes it, and a warm smile begins to form on his lips, but then the gears in his mind start turning. Is this a trap? He suspects the clothes, the haircut, and this sketch are just bait to hook a wealthy whale, planned from the moment he opened his wallet. But then, a dark smirk cuts across his face. He is no longer the naive fool of the past. Seeing his expression shift wildly, the girl grows anxious, wondering if her gift has failed to impress him. As uncertainty fills her gaze, he locks eyes with her. Why? He asks calmly. Why go to such lengths for me? Her voice trembles slightly. I stayed up all night because I wanted to give you something special. Do you hate it? The protagonist doesn't answer with words. He takes the sketch from her trembling hands and steps into her personal space. Gazing deep into her soul, he unleashes his charisma. If I don't receive such beautiful gifts in the future, will you take responsibility for my disappointment? The tension snaps. Realizing he was just teasing her, she lets out a long sigh of relief. She pouts and tries to snatch the drawing back, but he holds it high out of reach, declaring that it is now a certified family heirloom. She jumps for it, but he catches her wrist in midair. Suddenly, the gap between them vanishes. He leans in, his voice dropping to a whisper, but more than the drawing, I definitely prefer the artist. Her face explodes in a shade of crimson. It's a critical hit. The protagonist's smooth technique has the art college beauty completely under his spell, looking at him with literal hearts in her eyes. She mentally admits defeat to his flirting prowess. System notification favorability increased by 5 points. Observing her reaction, he smiles not out of love, but out of satisfaction. She has officially become a highly efficient tool for his wealth generation. Just as the mood peaks, a jarring male voice cuts through the air, a hand thrusts between them, shattering the moment. The sudden intrusion forces them apart, making them stumble back in surprise. A young man with round glasses stands there, shaking with indignation. You said you were getting your nails done with your best friend. Why are you here with him? Tears well up behind his thick lenses as the betrayal hits him hard. He demands to know why she lied to him, asking why she's in another man's arms when she claimed to be busy. He points a trembling finger at the protagonist. Is it because he's rich? You let him hug you, but I've been chasing you for months and can't even hold your hand. The protagonist doesn't get angry. Instead, he looks at the crying boy with profound pity. He sees a pathetic, unlucky lapdog. And in that lapdog, he recognizes the shadow of his own past self. The girl's demeanor turns ice cold instantly. "Who are you to question me?" she snaps arrogantly. "My dating life is none of your business." The glasses guy opens his mouth to argue, but the main character steps forward, shielding him from her scorn. "Easy there," the protagonist says calmly. He introduces himself and asks, "What's your name, friend? And how long have you been chasing her?" The girl blinks in confusion, unable to comprehend the sudden camaraderie between the two men. Wiping his eyes, the boy replies, "I'm from the School of Arts, and I've been pursuing her for 6 months." Seeing this pitiful sight, our protagonist feels a pang of sympathy. He reveals his own dark history, a time when he, too, spent 3 agonizing years chasing a shadow. He recounts the days of blood and sweat, juggling 4 part-time jobs just to survive. His daily feast was nothing but cold steamed buns and sour pickles. Yet, despite his sacrificial love, she climbed into another man's luxury car without a backward glance. Hearing this tragic tale, the spectacle-wearing boy feels a deep resonance with our hero. Our main character grips the boy's shoulders, his eyes burning with intensity. He declares that every betrayal is fuel kindling for the fire of self-improvement. Why chase butterflies, become the garden? Once he stands at the summit of power, women will naturally flock to him. He commands the boy to return to his dorm and scour her from his heart. The ultimate revenge isn't anger. It is becoming so successful that she drowns in regret. Tears stream down the boy's face as the truth pierces his soul. He swears a solemn oath to the protagonist that he will rise like a phoenix and amass a fortune. Meanwhile, the art student watches this emotional display in utter confusion. The moment the boy vanishes, she turns her attention to our hero. She desperately tries to explain that the weeping boy was merely a platonic friend. But before her lies can spin a web, our boy spins around. He rips her precious drawing to shreds, his voice ice cold as he dismisses her past. In his eyes, her actions show a complete lack of dignity, not just for him, but for herself. He grants her permission to keep using his black card, but issues a strict decree. She is forbidden from seeking his presence until she severs her messy entanglements. Turning his back, a devilish smirk plays on his lips. It is a masterclass in psychological warfare, push and pull, and he cannot wait to see how she takes the bait. The art student stares blankly at the confetti of her torn sketch drifting through the air. Instead of anger, a strange realization dawns on her. For the first time, she feels truly seen, as if someone finally understands her worth. Fresh tears well up in her eyes. She wipes them away, convinced that his harshness is born of deep affection, and blames herself for ruining everything. While striding back to the dorms, our protagonist reflects on his conquest. One must never let a beauty grow arrogant. A little coldness keeps the flame alive. Having successfully disciplined the art student, he decides it is time to shift his predatory gaze toward the legendary campus flower. As he pulls out his smartphone, a notification chimes. The elusive beauty is currently live streaming. This revelation catches him off guard. Who knew the Ice Queen was a broadcaster? Yuan enters the room of streamer Cheeky and is instantly captivated by her charm. Despite her beauty, her viewer count is pitifully low. Just then, a message pops up from another famous influencer, interrupting his thoughts. His expression darkens. He had asked to meet, but she coldly refused, claiming her schedule was too packed. She offers a private dance as compensation, but our main character is no fool. He recognizes the honey trap designed to milk him for gifts immediately. He has already sunk 10 million into her with zero return on investment. It would be far wiser to funnel his wealth toward the intriguing President Xiao instead. Suddenly, the system alerts him President Xiao has entered a PK battle. A wave of concern hits him. What if she faces a titan of the industry? Yet, the thrill of a virtual slaughter excites his blood. As he enters the arena, he realizes the heavens are helping him. Fate has pitted the greedy Xiaomi directly against the innocent President Xiao. The battle begins. Xiaomi smirks, completely at ease, as she looks at the massive point gap separating her from the rookie Cheeky. She is supremely confident that her wealthy patron will arrive to crush her opponent. The chat begins to buzz with rumors of our hero's legendary spending power. The arrogant influencer believes she has Yuan wrapped around her finger, conveniently forgetting how she disrespected his invitation just moments ago. Then, the sky breaks open. Our tycoon protagonist unleashes a barrage of digital gifts. Xiaomi cheers in triumph until her blood runs cold. The 1,000 rockets aren't for her, they are raining down upon Cheeky's channel. While President Xiao stares in shock at the screen, Xiaomi's joy shatters into utter despair. Her phone rings. It is her furious boss demanding answers. Xiaomi flees the stream with a flimsy excuse, while the chat room explodes with mockery, laughing at how the gold digger just got played. Yuan glances at his screen with a satisfied smile, hoping this new beauty proves worthy of his investment. Back at the agency headquarters, the CEO's jaw hits the floor. Who is this mysterious whale spending money like a Saudi prince? The streamer lounge erupts in chaos, thinking the rich patron loves music. The girls scramble to grab instruments, desperate to catch his eye. While her manager celebrates the trending victory, Cheeky's reaction is starkly different. She finds no joy in selling smiles for male attention. This digital begging is not the future she envisions for herself. She believes in true independence and dignity. Her curious friend asks if she knows the identity of this mysterious benefactor, but she shakes her head. However, basic etiquette demands action. She feels compelled to send a message of gratitude to the user named Yuan. Her friend walks away, shaking her head at Cheeky's stubborn principles. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoes through the room. As she opens the supporter's profile, the name strikes her like lightning. It might be Chen Yuan. Chen Yuan, the heir to a colossal business empire. Yet, he possesses a humble soul, preferring the shadows to the spotlight. Exhausted by sycophants and fame, he yearned for freedom. He once tried to love as a commoner, pouring his heart out for a girl, only to learn the cruel ways of the world. This is the fantasy President Xiao has constructed around our protagonist. She is convinced he hails from a fallen aristocratic family, believing his current humble life is a noble struggle. Her assistant, Shi, snaps back that she is reading way too many romance novels. President Xiao makes her move. Yuan's phone buzzes, and he stares at a text message from her. The famous influencer invites him to dinner. They agree to meet at the school gates at 4 o'clock the next day. Our hero is intrigued. She never asks where he got the money, deepening the mystery between them. The next afternoon, Yuan pedals his humble bicycle to the meeting spot. A sleek Audi pulls up. A wealthy snob steps out, boasting that he is waiting for his goddaughter. He spots Yuan looking at Xiao and sneers, advising him to work harder if he ever wants to attract a beautiful woman. But then, President Xiao locks eyes with Yuan. Her gaze shimmers with affection to her love-struck eyes. His ragged clothes and rusty bike shine like royal armor. While the snob brags about his luxury car, insisting our main character is worthless, the famous influencer hops onto Yuan's bike, and they glide past him without a second glance. The rich man is left staring at his reflection in the Audi, tears flowing as he realizes a harsh truth. His money meant nothing against a man on a bike. After a romantic journey full of heart-fluttering moments, they finally arrive at their destination. The waiter serves aromatic spicy garlic dishes. President Xiao is captivated by her date's elegance. Even in such a simple food stall, he gently hands her gloves to protect her delicate fingers, a gesture that screams sophistication. In her eyes, he is a hidden billionaire staying humble to avoid pressuring her, a true gentleman. She hallucinates a crown upon his head. Yuan is stunned. Her favorability rating is skyrocketing out of nowhere. Lost in the moment, she picks up a shrimp. She extends her hand, offering to peel it for him herself. Just as she leans in to feed him, Lin Shuang walks into the cafe and freezes in horror at the intimate scene. Panic sets in. She urges Junkai to leave, claiming the place is too crowded. But Junkai refuses to budge. He loves the crowd. Suddenly, a shadow falls over Yuan. Someone has recognized him. Junkai tosses 500 wen at our main character, demanding his seat like he owns the world. Yuan stands there, speechless at the audacity. Misinterpreting Yuan's silence, Junkai throws even more cash. Our hero glances at his date and sees her trembling with rage. He thinks she is mad at the insult. But no, President Xiao is furious because her perfect romantic moment was interrupted. The arrogant intruder keeps making it rain money. A waiter tries to step in, taking the cash and offering to find another table. Junkai snaps. He grabs the waiter by the collar, roaring that this is about dominance, not seating. Suddenly, wham! A luxury bag smashes into Junkai's face. A towering woman steps from the shadows, furious that he's wearing her clothes, driving her car, and spending her money on other girls. Junkai's arrogance instantly crumbles into terror. It is Wei Xiaoying. She exposes him for the leech he is, cheating behind her back. Yet, the pathetic wannabe still tries to play dumb. Desperate, Junkai switches to a sickeningly sweet tone, swearing loyalty. He grabs Lin Shuang by the hair, accusing her of seducing him. She tries to defend herself, to reveal he asked her out first, but Junkai slaps her viciously across the face, leaving her helpless on the ground. He raises his hand to strike again, but an iron grip stops him. Our hero has stepped in. Lin Shuang watches Yuan defend her, and a notification pings. Her favorability for him jumps by 20 points. The numbers keep climbing, shattering the 95-point threshold. The system reverses the host status. Lin Shuang is converted to host S, granting a massive reward, 20 strengthening points. Yuan instantly dumps 10 points into strength and 10 into physical fitness. He twists the cheater's arm like a twig. Junkai grabs a bottle and charges from behind in a blind rage, but before he can swing, our hero unleashes a devastating punch that sends him flying through the air. Yuan looms over him, condemning him for the shameful act of hitting a woman. Cornered and desperate, Junkai pulls a knife. President Xiao screams in terror. The scumbag lunges to stab him, but Yuan casually catches his arm and slams him into the pavement. Junkai is out cold before he hits the floor. The crowd watches in awe at our hero's martial prowess as he nonchalantly dusts off his hands. As he turns to leave, Lin Shuang clings to Yuan's leg, begging for a second chance, pleading to start over. Our protagonist looks down coldly. He reminds her of the Yuan who ran 10 kilometers to the emergency room for her. The Yuan who starved to buy her a phone she rejected. The Yuan who waited endlessly. That man is dead and buried, and she was the one who killed him. The drama concludes. Our gentleman hero apologizes to President Xiao for ruining the evening. She smiles, telling him to drop the formalities and call her cheeky. She assures him she is thrilled to have witnessed a different side of him. In fact, Kiki is more fascinated than ever. She senses that Yuan has many more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Meanwhile, Lin Shuang runs to her friend, soaked in the cold rain, weeping bitter tears over the man she foolishly threw away. Yuan assumes her tears are flowing because of the 10 million bounty he gifted Zhao, but in reality, this is the first time the news has even reached her ears. Yuan confirms the rumors are cold, hard facts, backed up by Zhao's own roommate. The realization hits Shuang like a truck, and she breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably like a child. While Shuang's wails haunt the dormitory halls, back in the room, Yuan's friends are staring at the screen in disbelief. He has dominated the top of the leaderboard. 18 victories in a row. They look at him with awe, convinced a hidden esports god has been living among them all along. Even our main character is stunned. The 20 attribute points he poured into his stats have turned him into a gaming machine. He shrugs it off with a casual excuse, hiding his system abilities. As he heads to the shower, his roommates scream at him to become a streamer and rake in millions. Stepping in front of the mirror, Yuan freezes. The system's points didn't just upgrade his skills, they sculpted his body into a masterpiece. Rippling muscles and a steel-hard six-pack. He looks less like a student and more like a movie star ready for the red carpet. A smirk plays on his lips as he wonders which lucky lady will get to enjoy this new physique. His vanity is interrupted by a shout from outside. His phone is blowing up. Checking the caller ID, he sees the name Zulalale flashing on the screen. His guard instantly goes up. He assumes this is just another one of her manipulative mind games to trap him. But the moment he answers, the sound of heart-wrenching sobs fills his ear. Broken and desperate, Zulalale begs him for a loan of 500. She chokes out the truth. Her father's gambling addiction has spiraled out of control, burying them in debt. Predatory loan sharks harass her family daily. She swears she isn't chasing his wealth for greed, but for survival. Without hesitation, Yuan demands her bank details, leaving her stunned into silence. The notification pings. She stares at the screen, her eyes widening in horror. Instead of 500,000, he sent 5 million. Yuan casually claims his finger slipped and added an extra zero. Instantly, the system alarm blares. Zulalale's favorability is skyrocketing. Overwhelmed by his casual generosity, she breaks down again, thanking her savior through a flood of tears. But the meter halts at 94 points. It is agonizingly close, yet not enough to completely capture her heart. He considers confessing now, but quickly discards the idea. In the game of love, the one who speaks first loses the upper hand. Just like a duel between masters, exposing a weakness means death, and our hero never strikes without certainty. The next morning, Yuan runs into Shuang on his way to class. She tries to sweeten him up with steamed buns, hoping to walk by his side. His friends are already shocked. But their jaws drop when a second challenger enters the arena. Zulilale arrives, presenting a thermos of handmade seafood porridge cooked with love. Sparks fly as the two girls lock eyes, shooting invisible daggers at each other. But suddenly, a third voice cuts in, stunning the entire crowd. Zhao steps forward with a bowl of beef noodles. To the others, this isn't just breakfast, it is a declaration of war. The other girls tremble, crushed by the overwhelming pressure of her presence. When he's taken aback, how did she know beef noodles were his weakness? She had analyzed his taste perfectly during their last date. She tracked down the most authentic spicy noodles in the city just for him. Our hero is touched by her attention to detail. Zhao smiles calmly, stating that understanding your partner is the bare minimum of romance. Her words strike the other girls like a physical blow to the gut. Then, she reveals her trump card. The boys gasp, seeing the latest flagship phone, while the expensive gift delivers a knockout punch to her rivals. Jill may not have a bottomless bank account, but she went all in. The gift is heavy with her sincerity, and our hero accepts it with a nod of respect. As Yuan walks off with the victor, Shuang collapses into despair. The chance to win him back has slipped through her fingers like sand. Just as she drowns in regret, Zulilale approaches from the shadows. Panic turns to strategy as Zulilale calms her down and proposes a secret treaty. She reveals her plan. They must join forces to take down their common enemy, Zhao. Meanwhile, Yuan is marveling at the sheer value of the phone in his hand. She worries his silence means rejection, but he quickly reassures her. However, seeing her favorability at only 40, he knows the truth. She hasn't fallen for him yet. He admires her cunning. She is a master at playing the prey while actually being the hunter. Yuan realizes he needs to change tactics to break through her defenses. Suddenly, a message pops up from Xiaomi asking to meet. But our main character is cold as ice. He demands photo evidence before he even considers accepting an apology. Just then, a golden notification appears. The legendary Dragon King has invited him to the exclusive circle of top-ranked anchors. Yuan's eyes blaze with excitement at the prospect of rubbing shoulders with legends. Without hesitation, he hits accept. He calmly introduces himself, and immediately, one of the anchors requests his assistance with a pressing business matter. Our protagonist instantly realizes this is a test, a clumsy trap laid out before him. With a smirk, he decides to play along and messages Qing Fong, moving the conversation into the shadows to talk business. The message pops up with a tempting offer, a luxurious villa in the exclusive Django district. Chen's eyes narrow. That area is the playground of the elite, where a single property costs tens of millions. Without hesitation, he feigns interest and schedules a visit for the very next day. On the other end, Qing Fong stares at the screen in disbelief. Chen Yuan is actually biting. Perhaps this man isn't the fraud they suspected him to be. The Dragon King muses that even if Chen is legit, having a wealthy connection is never a bad thing. He orders Qing Fong to send the location, planning to uncover the truth behind Chen Yuan's identity. The moment the address arrives, Chen isn't thinking about real estate. His mind races with system calculations. Gifting a villa to Xiao would send her favorability points skyrocketing. Stepping out of the taxi, Xiao looks around in utter confusion. Why has he brought her to the gates of such a colossal estate? Hong Yuango and his assistant step forward to welcome them. Seeing Chen's calm demeanor and Xiao's elegance, Hong wonders if he's facing the hidden heir of a legendary family. Simultaneously, a sinking feeling hits him, realizing that negotiating with someone of this caliber won't be easy. After exchanging pleasantries, Hong confesses his financial struggles forced this sale. With that heavy admission, they cross the threshold into luxury. The interior is nothing short of a palace. The living space alone spans a massive 500 square meters. Outside, a 2,000 square meter pool awaits. Every corner screams wealth, featuring custom Italian furniture and world-class design. The view is equally breathtaking, overlooking winding rivers and majestic landscapes. Hong sighs, admitting that if he weren't desperate for cash, he would have lived and died in this paradise. After the tour, Xiao's face flushes crimson. She knows a place this magnificent must cost a king's ransom. Chen Yuan is satisfied, cutting through the small talk. He asks the bald owner for the price. The bald man decides to play it straight, mentioning the horde of buyers who have been eyeing this property. He mentally sets the floor at 50 million, leaving room to haggle. 60 million, Hong declares. Chen Yuan lets out a long, heavy sigh. Hong panics, thinking he aimed too high, but then Chen shakes his head. That cheap? Hong and his assistant freeze, jaws dropping. Regret washes over the owner. He should have asked for double. Turning to Xiao, Chen asks casually, "So, what do you think? Should we take it?" Xiao blinks, completely bewildered. Why is he asking her opinion on such a massive purchase? The truth hits her like a truck he's buying it for. She stammers, unable to form words, while even the bald owner looks at Chen like he's a madman. A $60 million gift. Xiao's mind spins. Does Chen really have this kind of godlike wealth? And even if he does, it's too much. Dark thoughts creep in. Is this some elaborate scam? Is he grooming her for some twisted purpose, terrified by her own imagination? Xiao frantically refuses the gift. But Chen Yuan, the master actor, gently takes her hand, his eyes filled with sincerity. He spins a tale about housing restrictions, claiming he already owns too many properties to buy another under his own name. He pulls her closer, his voice low and tender. I need you to hold it for me. But mostly, I just want to give you a home. Xiao's face burns with heat. But wait, doesn't sharing property like this usually imply marriage? Her imagination runs wild, picturing a domestic life. And the two of them sharing a bed. Does he love her? Her romantic delusions are shattered as Chen finalizes the decision. Ding. The system chimes. Xiao's favorability surges all the way to 90. Chen grins, internally too easy. Truly, his acting skills deserve an Academy Award. Nearby, the assistant jabs her boss in the ribs, demanding, "Why don't you buy me a house like that?" The bald owner wants to cry. It's salt in the wound. Chen steps forward and casually transfers a $10 million down payment. I'll transfer the rest upon completion. Hong bows rapidly, promising to handle all the paperwork personally. It would be done in mere days. With the deal sealed, Chen and Xiao depart. Watching them leave in a taxi, Hong shakes his head in awe. A billionaire taking a cab, truly. A dragon hiding among shrimps. Back in the car, Chen Yuan checks the system panel. 90 points. Almost there. Once the 70 million is spent and the licking dog transformation is complete, the system will reward him with 7 million in pure cash back. Plus, since he dropped a massive 10 million on gifts, the system rewards were about to rain down on him. Meanwhile, Xiao Yuqi was completely lost in the sauce. The bookworm had retreated into her own delusional fantasy world. In her mind, the confession was already a done deal. She was literally planning a wedding in Milan or the Alps, convinced he would be the perfect father. She was spiraling so hard, she was even picking out baby names. She actually felt sad thinking he might get dementia in 50 years and forget her. Snap back to reality. Her daydreams shattered upon their return, but Chen didn't wait around. The player had to grind, so he headed straight for the internet cafe. Left alone on the roadside, Xiao Yuqi stood there in the wind, heartbroken and confused about her failed confession plans. Later, Chen finally strolled into the internet cafe, but the mood was tense. His squad was absolutely furious that he was late. They had already played around without him and suffered a crushing defeat. They yelled at him to hurry up. They had saved a machine just for him. Ignoring the noise, he headed to the front desk, telling his boys to hold their horses. He slapped his black card on the counter. Give me 4 packs of premium cigarettes and 4 bottles of iced black tea. Shockwave. The person behind the counter was none other than Shula. She explained that her father owned this cafe chain, and she was managing the store. Her eyes shimmered with gratitude. She whispered that thanks to his generosity earlier, her family's crushing debt had been completely wiped out. Shuli was overwhelmed with emotion. She didn't know whether to treat him to a drink or give him a lifetime membership on the spot, but the touching moment was shattered. The door burst open, and a thug with a baseball bat stormed in, screaming for her father's money. Trembling with fear, Shul stammered that she had already paid off the 5 million principal. The thug scoffed. He declared the 5 million was just the start. Apparently, there was still a massive 15 million in interest remaining. Fury blazed in Shul's eyes as she threatened to call the cops, but the gangster didn't hesitate. He grabbed her wrist with a vice-like grip. He delivered a sickening ultimatum: pay the 15 million today, or she belonged to them. He leered at her, claiming she'd fetch a good price. She would be forced to work as the top hostess at their club. That was enough. Chen grabbed the thug's arm, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. Get out, now! The thug just laughed. With a signal, he ordered his minions to crush this arrogant kid. Big mistake. The protagonist moved like lightning, unleashing a cyclone kick that sent the thug flying. His friends watched in stunned silence. Since when was Chen a martial arts master? His squad's jaws hit the floor. The video game had turned into reality. Chen was knocking out thugs left and right within seconds. Defeated and humiliated, the robber shouted a final threat. He warned our hero not to cross him again, claiming Chen only got lucky today. As the bullies scrambled away, Shul rushed forward and buried herself in Chen's arms. He had saved her once again. Ding! System notification. Shulei's favorability skyrocketed to 95 points. The counterattack mission was a complete success. 530,000 Wen was instantly deposited. Shul was now locked in as a loyal devotee. Plus, he earned 5 attribute points to strength. With the beauty in his arms, Chen couldn't help but smirk. Everything today had gone exactly according to his script. But his mind was already calculating. Where should he allocate these new strengthening points for maximum power? Suddenly, danger detected. Shuang spotted the hug from across the room. The atmosphere crackled. A legendary catfight was about to begin. Seeing the sparks fly, Chen wisely stepped back to spectate. While they bickered, he dumped all his new points straight into agility. While the girls were distracted, Chen pulled a vanishing act. His friends were left behind, trying to survive the awkward atmosphere. Arriving at the playground, Chen was on the hunt. Shoelace and Shuang were already conquered territory. He needed a fresh target to farm points from. Even Xiaoyuqi was practically in the bag. He needed fresh blood. Otherwise, he'd face the ultimate crisis, having nobody to spend money on. The system needed fuel. Suddenly, a stunning girl, He Jing, tapped his shoulder. She coldly told him to move, claiming her sports club had reserved the track for a sprint competition. Chen turned around and froze. He was lost in her beauty for a split second. She was perfect. A potential new target without hesitation. The MC whipped out his phone. "If you want me to leave, add me on WeChat first." He Jing blinked, completely confused by his shamelessness. But before she could react, a shadow loomed. Li Yong, her boyfriend, stepped in, barking at Chen to back off and marking his territory. Chen's eyes narrowed. He remembered this guy. This was the same bully who used to beat the living daylights out of him just for looking at a girl. Even as Chen stood silent, Li Yong kept running his mouth, telling Chen to know his place like the trash he used to be. Chen just smirked as the couple walked away. He didn't care about strangers. But now he initiated the targeting protocol on He Jing. The system projected the rewards. When her favorability hits 95, he gets a 10% rebate and 22 strengthening points. Down on the track, Li Yong and the other opponents took their stance. The race was about to start. He smirks at the audience, locking eyes with He Jing, his so-called wife, who was blindly cheering for her champion. The starting gun fires. Li Yang explodes forward, leaving the pack in the dust, but his eyes suddenly snap ahead in disbelief. There is someone else, a figure moving with godlike speed that makes this arrogant bully tremble in his boots. He has no idea. The victim he tormented in high school has returned, and he is ready to crush him both in this match and in the game of love. In a heartbeat. The lead vanishes. Chen rockets past Li Yang, vowing to humiliate this trash on his own turf. Panic sets in for Li Yang, but a sinister grin forms as he remembers the seal on his body. He has not even begun to use his true power yet. Power surges into his left leg. Li Yang prepares to put this unknown challenger in his place, oblivious to the dragon he has just awakened. But before he can even execute his move, he blinks. The track ahead is empty. Where is Chen? He is not in front. Li Yang's eyes bulge in horror as Chen zooms past him from behind. He has lapped him in mere seconds. As he runs, our hero lets out a cold laugh. Li Yang's decade of blood, sweat, and tears. 10 years of training is trash compared to the skill points Chen has farmed in a single week. The stadium erupts. In just 50 seconds, Chen has circled the entire field and crossed the finish line. A complete and total victory. He Jing stands frozen, her mouth agape. Her perfect boyfriend has lost. The impossible has just happened before her eyes. The crowd lifts Chen like a king. The announcer screams a new record. He has shattered the very limits of human capability. Whispers spread like wildfire through the stands. He is not a registered athlete. He is a ghost. A phantom of speed that no one recognizes. Scouts swarm the protagonist instantly, begging him to join the track team and promising a straight shot to the national squad. Seeing this, Li Yang clenches his fists in childish rage. Those offers belonged to him just moments ago. But Chen He gives zero shits. He rejects them all cold turkey. Watching this display of dominance, He Jing's heart begins to waver. A system notification chimes. Haijing's favorability rating jumps up to 5 points. Just then, Li Yang rushes to her side, snapping her out of her trance. He calls out, desperation in his voice, checking if she is okay. She lies through her teeth, claiming she's worried for him. But the system does not lie. Her favorability for Chen climbs another 5 points. Meanwhile, Xiao paces nervously back at the apartment. The moment the door opens, she demands answers about their whereabouts. Bursting with excitement, the friend brags about the gift Chen bought. A house. Xiao leaps to her feet, stunned, speechless. Dropping the bomb, she reveals the price tag. That house is worth 60 million. But she begs Xiao to verify the market value. If that bald developer played any tricks on Chen, there will be hell to pay. Xiao feels a pang of bitterness. Why does fortune never smile on her? The green monster of jealousy rears its head. Still, she swallows her pride and agrees to help her friend, who is currently floating on cloud 9. Xiao unlocks her phone and freezes. A viral post is everywhere. It claims Chen is a scumbag with a harem. The girls stare at the screen in confusion. Lao Zhao shoves the phone in Chen's face. It is so bad. Even Chen questions reality. Does he look like a villain? He is just a money-spending system user. Chen's eyes narrow. He enters detective mode. Who would dare target him now that his profile is rising? He needs to find the rat in the shadows. Elsewhere, 3 losers stare at their screens. They never expected their little hate post to explode like this. But the damage is done. Chen's reputation is in tatters, and these trolls are loving every second of the chaos. Suddenly, Li Yang appears behind them, suspicious. Why are they hiding in the dark like rats in the middle of the day? The trolls explain their mission. They are destroying an arrogant guy from the liberal arts school who thinks he owns the place. Li Yang glances at the photo and his eyes widen. It is him. The speed demon from the tracks. A cruel smirk twists Li Yang's lips. He recognizes this face. This is the same trash he used to bully back in high school. A thrill runs through him. They share a history, which means Li Yang possesses the ultimate weapon information. Li Yang scoffs, claiming the protagonist is not a hero, but a villain who deserves to be exposed for harassing women. He sits down like a king among rats. Li Yang spills the secrets, painting Chen as a desperate dog licker, a pathetic simp who stalks girls. The trolls eat it up. They scribble down every lie, eager to craft the next hit piece that will bury Chen forever. Li Yang has forgotten the race. He has forgotten the coaches. His only goal now is the total destruction of Chen's existence. The keyboard warriors launch their second attack. A new post labels Chen from HU University as a serial predator. The article claims he juggles multiple women, manipulating their hearts and trampling on their dignity. They spin a web of lies, stating that women only speak to him out of fear. According to them, Chen is a monster who threatens his way into their lives. The post accuses him of harboring a dark nature during his high school days, claiming he was a predator who stalked hundreds of girls, refusing to let go even when they belonged to others. This scandalous expose goes viral instantly, setting the entire campus forum on fire. Even the university principal explodes with rage. He smashes his secretary's phone, swearing to banish such filth from his hallowed grounds and vowing to investigate personally. If the rumors prove true, expulsion is the only option. While he fumes, his poor secretary is left weeping over the shattered screen. The headmaster launches his personal crusade to uncover the truth. But instead of dirt, he hears whispers of a legend. A scion from a wealthy family who remains humble. A saint who always protects the weak. The authorities uncover reports of the main character acting as a vigilante of the night, punishing evil like a shadow knight. According to Xiao Yuqi, in her eyes, he is nothing short of a hero. The interrogators are floored by this revelation, demanding to know the logic behind her absolute faith. She simply points to her feminine intuition, a power that never fails. The principal's secretary reviews the testimony with a serious expression. He thinks Xiao Yuqi is eccentric, but as the student union vice president, her word is bond. It means the rumors about Chen are nothing but malicious lies. But the principal takes this unexpectedly personally. Hearing such perfection triggers his own inferiority complex. He cannot stomach the idea that a mere student could outshine him in every way. Refusing to accept defeat, he orders the secretary to dig deeper and question Chen's past classmates. Following the command, the investigation team tracks down Shuang to drag the truth out of her. But at Hu University, Shuang collapses into a sobbing mess. She declares Chen is a good man and that she was the one unworthy of his brilliance. She confesses to her own vanity and greed, admitting that Chen rejected her because she wasn't good enough. The investigator is completely bewildered, staring at this crying girl in confusion. He is shocked she worships him even after being rejected. The principal overhears this entire exchange and quietly retreats, his confidence shaken. Up on the first floor, the principal lights a cigarette, gazing out the window as his doubts begin to crumble. Chen is innocent. Truly innocent. His gaze shifts to the campus gate, where two figures are unfurling a banner. Curiosity takes over, and the principal approaches them. It is Shul and her father, who greet him with deep respect. The principal demands to know the reason for their sudden arrival. Shul unrolls the banner, a tribute from the art department to Chen of the Literature College. Her father speaks with trembling gratitude, explaining how Chen saved their family from absolute ruin. The moment these words hit the principal's ears, his jaw drops to the floor. Why does the entire world revolve around this one student? Seeing the sincerity in their eyes, the principal finally accepts the truth. The viral posts were nothing but a smear campaign against a genius. He checks the forums again, but the tide has turned. The girls are going feral for Chen, claiming they would happily date a scumbag if he looked like him. The female students flood the feed with videos of Chen dominating the sprint race. They are literally fangirling over our boy. Some praise his healing smile, while others conclude that only a jealous loser would try to bring down such a god. Reading the comments, the principal presses a palm to his forehead in realization. Puzzled, a wave of sympathy washes over him. Chen wasn't a predator, he was the prey. A flower surrounded by bees running for honey. Obviously, the other men were consumed by the green-eyed monster of jealousy. It must have been their envy that birthed these lies. He imagines our main character suffering in silence, a genius too brilliant for the world to understand, perhaps even intimidating his teachers. Tears well up in the principal's eyes. He vows to become the shield for Hu University's greatest treasure and end this unfair treatment once and for all. Later, standing on the main stage with Chen, the principal summons the entire student body. He addresses the slanderous storm that has been plaguing the forums. He assures the crowd that he has personally investigated every detail. His verdict: the rumors are absolute garbage, pulling Chen into a fatherly embrace. The principal declares that this boy lives a life of virtue. He is a paragon of justice who fights for the weak and helps others without asking for a reward. The principal weeps dramatically while clearing Chen's name, demanding that every student look up to him as the ultimate role model. In a final dramatic flourish, he hands Chen a certificate as a reward for his legendary bravery. Chen accepts it, completely blank-faced. But inside, our main character is confused as hell. He doesn't remember being brave, nor does he recall ever willingly helping a single soul. The students erupt in cheers for their peers, but amidst the celebration, Li Yang stands motionless, a storm of discontent brewing on his face. Jealousy consumes this arrogant student. He believes the principal is blind and the applause is foolish, convinced that he is the only one worthy of such honor and recognition. Suddenly, Li Yang's attention snaps to Xu Jing as he hears her calling our protagonist handsome, clapping for him with an energy that makes his blood boil. Thanks to her enthusiasm, a system notification chimes. Xu Jing's favorability rating has soared by more than 10 points. Seething with envy, Li Yang confronts Xu Jing, demanding an explanation for why she would dare applaud for a rival like that. Xu Jing is instantly annoyed. His baseless jealousy is pathetic, as she simply holds genuine admiration for the protagonist's impressive achievements. In her eyes, acknowledging someone's talent and success is nothing to be ashamed of. With a giggle, she recalls how Chen even crushed Li Yang at his own best game, yet walked away with humility instead of arrogance, ignoring the offers thrown at him. Hearing her shower the main character with such high praise, Li Yang feels his sanity snapping. In a flash of rage, he seizes Xu Jing's wrist, shouting that he is vastly superior to a useless dog like Chen, regardless of any coaching offers. He sneers that in this society, the only things that truly matter are influence and cold, hard cash. He claims his father is far wealthier than Chen could ever hope to be, making the protagonist's victory meaningless. The jealous bully is so blinded by his own fury that he fails to notice he is physically hurting his own girlfriend, gripping her wrist with bruising force. Meanwhile, our main character instructs Old Hong to drive carefully. He wants to maintain a low profile at school and explicitly forbids being picked up in a flashy luxury vehicle. Still arguing, Xu Jing and Li Yang stumble out of the school gates, but they both freeze in their tracks when they spot Chen standing before an obscenely expensive supercar. Chen sighs, reminding old Hong that he specifically asked not to bring the fancy car, yet the loyal subordinate assures him he will be more mindful next time. Just then, Chen departs with Baldy, and witnessing the insurmountable gap in status, Shujing breaks up with Li Yang on the spot. At this point, the arrogant bully is left psychologically shattered, completely traumatized by the crushing defeat. Yet, she cannot comprehend why he's taking it so hard, considering their relationship wasn't even that deep to begin with. At the bank, Chen transfers the remaining 50 million yuan to Baldy, who nearly loses his mind with joy upon receiving the massive sum. With the payment settled, our hero heads back, deciding to hail a humble taxi rather than returning to school in old Hong's flashy ride. While walking, our boy strategizes his next move. He needs to gift something to Xiaoyuqi to max out her favorability and unlock a 25-point attribute bonus. To impress her further, Chen decides to browse the inventory to see what other treasures Baldy might be selling. Glancing at the group chat, our guy notices Baldy singing his praises to everyone. Baldy continues to compliment Chen for the help, but Chen sends a casual text, dismissing it as a mere small favor between friends. Suddenly, someone in the group asks the main character if he's interested in purchasing a car, boasting of powerful connections. Upon reading the text, Chen's eyes widen with a brilliant plan. Now he can give Xiaoyuqi a car as well. Jiang Haoxian introduces himself. Jiang Haoxian's family runs a local enterprise, and he personally manages a high-end car dealership. This rich heir hands Chen a business card, revealing he is a rich second generation with solid roots in the local business world. Impressed, our boy praises Haoshin for managing such a significant business at a young age, respectfully calling him brother. But Haoshin waves off the formality, asking to be called Little Jiang, admitting he expected Chen to be an older uncle after hearing Baldy talk about him. To his utter surprise, the legendary Chen is a young man just like him. As the two men converse, the dealership secretaries are shocked to see their boss personally attending to a customer, speculating that our boy must be a hidden tycoon. That is precisely why Haoshin is handling this client personally. He smells big money. While Chen inspects the showroom, Haoshin brags that this is the largest dealership in the city, promising that Chen can find absolutely anything he desires here. However, the moment Chen demands a Bugatti Chiron, the wealthy heir is left speechless, nervously explaining that it is a limited edition with only 20 units worldwide. Undeterred, our hero demands a Lamborghini Veneno, or perhaps a Pagani Huayra Roadster instead. But the more he lists these hypercars, the more it feels like a slap in the face to Haoshin, whose inventory only ranges from 2 million to 9 million yuan. This makes the protagonist realize that this so-called tycoon doesn't actually possess a business as vast as he claimed. But Haoshin is ready to unveil his trump card. Just because our boy buys houses worth 10 million doesn't necessarily mean he throws the same money at cars, or so Haoshin assumes. Dramatically, he reveals a brand new beast, a Ferrari LaFerrari, featuring a 6.3-liter V12 engine with a massive power output of 588 kilowatts. Its total price is a staggering 22.5 million yuan, and now, Haoshin holds his breath, waiting for our boy's response. Chen stared at the sleek curves of the Ferrari. It wasn't an exorbitant fortune to him now, but it certainly wasn't cheap. Yes, this would be the perfect gift to spoil Zhao Yuki. With a casual pat on the salesman's shoulder, Chen seals the deal. This $20 million beast is officially his. He commands Haoshin to deliver the vehicle straight to the Han Riverside Villa community. No delays allowed. Haotin freezes, staring at the black card in disbelief. But just as the transaction clears, Chen's phone shatters the silence. He answers, only to hear a familiar voice screaming in agony on the other end. His best friend has been betrayed. It was supposed to be a celebration. His girlfriend claimed she was out getting her nails done with the girls. But as the hour grew late and the heavens opened up, worry drove him out into the storm with an umbrella in hand. What he found, however, ripped his heart from his chest. There she was, locked in a passionate kiss with another man. His voice breaks as he describes the scene. They laughed in the rain, while he stood there, soaked and invisible, like a drowning rat. Bottle after bottle, he tries to drown the sorrow consuming him. He chugs down the sports drink as if it were hard liquor, his tears mixing with the liquid. 3 years down the drain, he was ready to meet her parents. Chen has heard enough and slaps the bottle away. The fool asks how to win her back, igniting Chen's fury. Wake up, do not be a licking dog for a woman who betrayed you. But the heartbreak runs too deep for him to accept. The harsh reality, Chen decides to step in. forcing him to face the truth. Was this really just a mistake? The silence is deafening. Chen sighs. If words will not work, absolute power will. He pulls out his phone. "Who are you calling?" his friend stammers. Chen's eyes turn cold. "Leave it to me. I'm going to make that traitor kneel before you and beg for forgiveness." The call connects to the head of the massive Jang group. Chen demands a fleet of supercars, each worth millions. "And send your most elite drivers," he commands. "I need an entrance that screams absolute dominance." The CEO agrees instantly. Chen hangs up, leaving his friend staring at him like he is looking at a stranger. But Chen is not finished. He dials the art college beauty, summoning her to the location immediately. Witnessing this aura of unshakable confidence, his friend can only watch in awe. The transformation was undeniable. He wasn't just wealthy, his entire aura had shifted, radiating a newfound dominance. Night fell over the city. Outside the restaurant, the stunning art college student arrived. She didn't hesitate, rushing into his arms and clinging to him, whispering just how desperately she had missed him. They entered the venue, accompanied by his friend. The friend stood frozen, jaw dropping. How did he summon such a perfect 10 out of 10 beauty with a single call? Was this really the same pitiful simp he used to know? While the girl continued to pamper our boy like a king, ignoring everyone else. She poured his drink with elegant grace. He turned calmly, introducing his stunned friend to the goddess by his side. This puzzled her. Why bring a third wheel to a late-night date? Her heart began to race. She convinced herself this was a sign, a delusion that she had truly captured the main character's heart. But the reality was colder. He leaned in, revealing the truth. He hadn't called her for romance, but to play a specific role in a dramatic act he had planned for the next day. Meanwhile, on the road home, the green-haired punk brother Ma tried to comfort Jia. "Don't look so sad, baby," he smirked, promising to buy her a luxury bag for her birthday in just a few days. Jia sighed, warning Ma not to disappoint her again, reminding him of the years she had wasted on him. But suddenly a crimson Ferrari roared up from behind. The sports car cut them off with aggressive precision. Ma slammed on the brakes, tires screeching as his heart leaped into his throat. Rage exploded instantly. He rolled down the window, screaming curses at the reckless driver who dared to challenge him. But the insults died in his throat. His anger evaporated the moment the passenger door opened, and his attention locked onto the woman stepping out. He was paralyzed by lust. Her figure was flawless, a vision of dangerous curves that made him forget everything else. He stared, completely mesmerized by her beauty. Then, the driver emerged. It was Wenji, but not the loser they remembered. He was draped in a luxurious fur coat, dripping in gold, looking like a king of the underworld. When Wendy's ex-girlfriend and her current boyfriend saw him, their minds broke. He stood there with a supermodel, looking like a wealthy tycoon. They couldn't believe their eyes. Was this the same guy? They trembled, wondering if he was actually a hidden heir from a powerful dynasty all along. The art college girl played her part perfectly. She clung to Wenji, pointing an accusing finger at Ma. "Honey, look, that idiot just hit our car." Wenji didn't even blink. He waved his hand dismissively, playing the role of the aloof billionaire. "It doesn't matter, babe. If this one is damaged, I'll just buy you a brand new one tomorrow." However, his ex-girlfriend, Jia, saw through the act. Her eyes narrowed sharply as she caught the lie. "You're acting," she screamed, furious. "Is this all for me?" But Wenji didn't deign to answer. To him, her screeching was nothing more than the barking of a stray dog. Despite his request, Jia refuses to leave the car, insisting she has known him for ages. She desperately plays the history card, claiming to know his entire family background while admitting her mistakes. With venom in her voice, she shifted the blame entirely onto Wenjie, mocking his performance as utterly pathetic. Unbeknownst to her, the protagonist, Yan, and the head of the Zhang group sat in a nearby car, watching the drama unfold like predators in the shadows. Boss Zhang trembled, terrified their cover would be blown, but Yan simply smirked, assuring him that the real show was only just beginning. The tension exploded as the convoy of supercars emptied. Among the wealthy elite, Brother Bai stepped forward, instantly recognizing the fraudster, Ma Wenjie. A predatory grin spread across Bai's face as he strutted over, asking the trembling man if he dared to remember him. Bai threw a heavy arm around Ma Wenjie and another around the girl, whispering the cruel truth of the coal mines. the American degree, it was all a fantasy. The grim reality was far simpler. Ma Wen-jie was nothing but a serial scammer, a lowlife who feigned wealth to manipulate women into his bed. To drive the point home, Brother Bai locked the fraud in a suffocating chokehold, forcing him to beg for mercy while his girlfriend watched, paralyzed by horror. Disgusted, Brother Bai released the trash and walked away, scoffing at how many naive girls still fell for such cheap, pathetic traps. He didn't look back, tossing a final insult at the girl for being unworthy of high society before sliding into his luxury vehicle. The illusion shattered. Jia turned on Ma Wen-jie, screaming and cursing him, calling him filth lower than an animal for deceiving her. Wen-jie, the true friend, felt a pang of pity seeing his ex-girlfriend humiliated, but he steeled his heart and told his date to get back in the car. Realizing her golden ticket was leaving, Jia desperately threw herself at Wen-jie's feet, begging him not to abandon her in the dust. She pleaded through her tears, claiming she wasn't vain, only terrified of poverty, and begged him for just one more chance to make it right. However, his gaze was ice cold. He turned his back on her, severing their ties forever and forbidding her from ever speaking his name again. Meanwhile, the fraudster Ma tried to slink away like a rat while the powerful seniors were distracted by conversation. But as he turned, he slammed into a wall of muscle. Our protagonist blocked his path, demanding 100 self-slaps if he wished to leave with his life intact. Night fell, and the group moved to an exclusive club, cheering for the honor of meeting the legendary Yuan. Although Yuan tried to be humble, their reverence was absolute. Brother Bai scooted closer, his eyes gleaming with mischief, acknowledging Yan as a supreme god on the Shark Live platform before asking for a favor. When Yan inquired, Brother Bai explained he had a favorite streamer he desperately wanted to support to save face. But, alas, his pockets were empty. He shamelessly asked the protagonist if he could spare some loose change for the cause. Yan immediately saw through the facade. Just like the other young masters, this man was testing the depths of his pockets and underestimating him. Before Yan could even retort, Boss Jiang nervously interjected, scolding Bai for being ridiculous, insisting that a man's streamer addiction was his own burden and that he was merely joking with the great Yan. The atmosphere tightened as Yan slammed his glass down. The liquid splashed violently, silencing the room as everyone held their breath, waiting for his wrath. Ignoring their fear, the main character coolly pulled out his smartphone, unlocked the screen, and slid it across the table like a challenge to the wealthy elite. His voice was calm but commanding. "If it's just gifts, use my account. I'm going to the restroom. Do not embarrass me by being stingy with my money." He turned and walked away with the swagger of a king, leaving the room in a state of utter confusion and shock. Brother Bai picked up the phone with trembling hands, unable to comprehend that Yan would trust him so completely. He opened Shark Live, realizing he had just been given a license to spend infinite wealth. As he entered the restroom, Yan chuckled to himself. It was better they didn't ask him to pay the bar tab directly. A wave of relief washed over him. Gifts were irrelevant, as the system footed the bill for all online tipping anyway. When he returned to the VIP table, he was greeted by a strange sight. The entire group was huddled around Brother Bai in a frenzied circle. The chant of numbers filled the air, cheering Bai to go beyond 1,003 gifts. Yan stepped closer to inspect the madness. As the gift count skyrocketed, Yan parted the crowd and approached Bai, demanding to know what all the commotion was about. With tears streaming down his face, Brother Bai handed the phone back, muttering something incoherent about saving the poor child. Yan glanced at the screen and scoffed. He mocked the man for spending a measly 20 million coins despite having so much time. The room froze. Everyone stared at Yan with pure envy, wondering what kind of monstrous background allowed him to possess wealth greater than a bank. Brother Bai was mentally broken. He stammered that he usually only made a few tens of thousands on a good day. The sheer terror of burning through 13 million and the equivalent of several sports cars in minutes was tearing his soul apart. Ignoring the man's nervous breakdown, Yan asked if 20 million was truly enough, then casually decided to round it up to a staggering 60 million. Panic exploded in Brother Bai's eyes. He snatched the phone back, screaming that it was enough, terrified that the streamer girl didn't deserve such a king's ransom. Having witnessed the protagonist's divine spending power, he finally admitted defeat. Realizing the wealthy heir of the Jang group, smirks and signals for her to pay her respects to the true boss here. With his head bowed low, Bachelin swears absolute loyalty, promising to follow the main character's lead from this day forth. But nearby, a group of girls notices the shift in power. Their eyes lock onto our boy, captivated by his overflowing charisma. They whisper among themselves, wondering what kind of titan he must be to have the real estate mogul Bachilin toasting to him with such respect. To the onlookers, this isn't just a drink, it looks like a gathering of gods. The elite second generation, the rulers of Seoul's high society. One girl bites her lip, dreaming of the life of luxury she could have if she just managed to slip into their inner circle. Suddenly, recognition flashes in one girl's eyes. She gasps, realizing he's the mysterious legend who went viral for spending $1 billion like it was pocket change. Just then, the protagonist's phone screen lights up in the dim club. Destiny calls. He stands up, excusing himself from the table with a mysterious air. He promises to meet them another time, claiming urgent business awaits him in the shadows. As his silhouette fades into the distance, the other men at the table exchange skeptical glances. Did the main character leave early just to dodge the heavy bill? The owner of Jang Group slams down that thought instantly. He scolds the fool, roaring that a man of such heavenly wealth would never worry about a bar tab, and commands them to watch their tongues. The message that pulled our protagonist away came from none other than the Shark live streamer. She had alerted him of her arrival in Seoul. The trap was set for a meeting the very next day. A predator's smirk curls on the main character's lips. He plans to reap a massive harvest of goodwill points, having left her dangling on the hook for far too long. The next day, the streamer arrives in the city, her confidence sky high. She treats this meeting as a game, believing a simple flash of her charm will bring him to his knees. In her eyes, no matter how wealthy he has become, he is just another foolish fish swimming into her pond, waiting to be caught. Morning light floods the cafe as they sit for breakfast. But suddenly, a ghost from the past vibrates in the main character's pocket, a text from his shameless ex-girlfriend asking for a second chance. She spins a ridiculous tale, claiming she saw him in a dream last night. She reminisces about the luxury they once shared as a married couple, begging him to forgive her sins and take her back into his golden embrace. Disgust flashes in our boy's eyes. Without a second thought, he deletes the chat and blocks her number, severing the link to her greed forever. The streamer notices his distraction and pries into his business. Masking his annoyance, he simply claims he was thinking of someone else, turning the table by asking what she was babbling about. Her internal alarm bells ring, reminding her of her boss's terrifying ultimatum: capture this wealthy whale at any cost, or else. Fueled by arrogance and beauty, she cannot comprehend his indifference. How can any man resist her when she is sitting right there? She plasters on an innocent, angelic smile and begins to shower the protagonist's wealth with sugary compliments. At that moment, he checks the system interface. Shock strikes him like lightning. Her favorability points are too high. He cannot bind the licking dog relationship if she actually likes him. He needs to crash her opinion of him, and fast. It is time to initiate Operation Repulsion. He leans back and starts shamelessly picking his nose in public. With a bored expression, he declares that he is actually just an unemployed wanderer. Her smile falters. Confused, she stammers, asking if he is truly jobless. It makes no sense. Surely he runs a business to spend money so recklessly. He wipes his finger on the fine tablecloth, leaving a stain. He laughs, claiming he was just burning through his father's inheritance all along. And the cherry on top, he announces that his father's company has just gone completely bankrupt. He leans in, delivering the final blow. The reason he came today was to ask if Xiaomier could refund a portion of the money he spent on her gifts to help him survive. As he says this, he grabs her hand with his greasy fingers. The disgust on her face is instant. System alert, favorability plummets by 20 points. Xiaomier shoves him away as if he were a disease. She screams, berating him for acting like a king when he is nothing but a broke loser. Her voice cracks with rage as she calls him a disappointment of a man for daring to ask for a refund. As her favorability points freefall, she stands up to storm out. She immediately dials another man, lying through her teeth about a creep bothering her to secure a ride. The main character watches her go with a sarcastic, victorious smile. He marvels at the sheer audacity of such a shameless woman. Moments later, the door slams open. A purple-haired man storms into the coffee shop, demanding to know who dared to harass his woman in his territory of Seoul. Seeing her savior, Xiaomier runs to him, playing the victim. She lies, pointing an accusing finger. claiming the pervert over there even tried to grab her hand, but the purple-haired man ignores her completely. He walks right past her outstretched arms. She spins around, furious, only to freeze in shock. The Tyrant of Soul is walking excitedly toward our boy, extending his hand for a respectful shake. The main character raises an eyebrow. He looks at Lan with genuine confusion, asking who this enthusiastic stranger is. The guy frantically points at his own face, desperate for recognition. He reminds the main character that he was the one who toasted him alongside Bachelin just last night. Recognition dawns on the main character. Lan immediately bows, expressing deep regret that he didn't get to share more drinks with such a legend yesterday. He insists that since fate has brought them together, the main character must let him pay for everything today. The live streamer stands there, her mouth hanging open. Her brain cannot process why Lan, a top-tier heir with influence across the entire industry, is acting like a servant to a broke man. Trembling, she walks over to Lan, desperate for an explanation. He snaps his head toward her, calling her a fool. He reveals the terrifying truth. The main character is so wealthy, he could bury her entire family alive without breaking a sweat. Confused at first, the realization suddenly hits her like a lightning bolt. The main character was testing her sincerity all along. Panic sets in as she realizes she nearly fumbled a golden opportunity. She immediately pivots, desperate to reclaim the situation, and offers a profuse apology to the protagonist. The system chimes in, the dog-licking bond has been established, and her title receives 25 strengthening points. The main character chuckles, dismissing it as a joke on a naive girl, causing her favorability rating to spike again as she thanks him profusely. Internally, however, a cold smirk forms on his lips. He knows exactly what kind of professional manipulator she is, but he decides to keep her on the hook as long as his wallet is full. Her devotion and those favorability points will only climb higher. Lan suddenly explodes with rage, berating the girl for insulting a VIP by treating him to cheap foreign soy milk after he boosted her fame. To save face, Lan turns to our boy and insists on hosting him at a top-tier restaurant befitting his status. As the men head toward their luxury vehicles, Gia scrambles after them, refusing to be left behind. Once inside the car, she instantly latches onto the main character's arm, her voice trembling as she asks if he is still upset. He doesn't even spare her a glance, coolly stating that he isn't angry and that she is overthinking things. To prove his indifference, he pulls out his phone and launches the Shark Live app, leaving her bewildered. Her jaw drops as she watches him open a random woman's stream and begin spamming the most expensive gifts without hesitation. An endless barrage of virtual rockets fills the screen, engaging the entire chat in a frenzy. The rookie streamer is completely overwhelmed. The gift count rises so fast her mind goes blank. She has never witnessed such extravagant spending in her life, and the shock nearly sends her into a faint. Even the streamer's sister in the background starts to hyperventilate from the sheer intensity of the wealth on display. She screams for someone to call emergency services, terrifyingly claiming her sister's heart can't handle this amount of money. Meanwhile, Gia watches the main character like a hawk, her eyes glued to his finger tapping the screen. She realizes with horror that she has never seen anyone burn through cash at this godlike speed. Even if others had the finger speed, nobody else possesses the infinite bank account to back it up. The more she watches the rockets fly, the more her greed and obsession intensify. Regret crashes over her like a tidal wave. If she had been smarter earlier, all those rockets would belong to her. Her imagination runs wild, fantasizing about a future where that unlimited wealth is hers to control. System alert. Because of her delusions, her favorability toward him surges by another 60 points. The protagonist notices her heated gaze and realizes her affection is skyrocketing simply because he's flexing his cash on someone else. Moments later, they arrive at their destination, where Lan proudly introduces his chosen venue. It is the Black Pearl, the most prestigious private restaurant in all of Seoul, a 3-star establishment, legendary for its oppressive luxury and a reservation system reserved only for the elite. Here, absolute privacy is the law. Lan then teases that this place has 3 hidden gems that make it unique. The main character calmly deduces that the first 2 highlights must be the exquisite cuisine and the breathtaking atmosphere. With a knowing look, he asks about the mysterious 3rd highlight. Lan laughs, praising his friend's sharp intuition, and announces that it is time to unveil the final treasure. In the center of the room, bathed in soft light, a stunning beauty sits gracefully playing an instrument. Lan reveals the secret. The 3rd highlight of the Black Pearl is the campus girl, the daughter of the restaurant's boss. Suddenly, the musician looks up, her eyes locking onto the main character, and she cries out his name in shock. The main character stammers, calling her name back, but disaster strikes as her gaze falls upon Gia clinging to his hand. System warning, her favorability instantly plummets by 5 points. In a fit of jealous rage, she smashes her instrument with her knee, sending shockwaves through the trio. With tears welling in her eyes, she shoots a glare of betrayal at the main character before storming off. The main character curses internally. His perfect counterattack plan is collapsing right at the critical moment. The main character didn't waste a single second. He immediately sprinted after her, closing the distance in an instant. He slammed his hands against the wall, trapping her within his embrace. The campus goddess could no longer hold back the storm of emotions raging inside her. The dam broke. She screamed at him, tears carving paths down her cheeks, accusing him of treating her heart like a cheap plaything. "Let me go!" she shrieked, struggling desperately against his blockade. The protagonist's mind raced. If this drama dragged on, the mood would sour, and his window of opportunity to salvage the relationship would slam shut forever. It was time to go all in. He locked eyes with her, his expression deadly serious. "Tell me, have you ever watched the movie about the tomato tycoon?" Fresh tears welled up in her eyes as she lashed out, screaming that this wasn't the time for movie trivia when he was out here cheating on her. But the main character remained ice cold. "I'm not talking about a movie," he said softly. "I am the tomato tycoon." Click. The flame of his lighter danced in the dark. He lit a cigarette with practiced ease, leaving her staring at him in stunned silence. A plume of smoke drifted into the night air. "You should have realized by now," he murmured. "My family background is far from ordinary. You're wondering why I live like a commoner, aren't you?" He maintained his mysterious aura, preparing to drop the bombshell. "In the shadows of the hidden elite families," he began, his voice dropping to a whisper, "there exists an ancient, unwritten rule. Upon turning 18, the heir must spend 10 billion won in a single month. Only then can they inherit the full 50 billion won empire. That is why I've been frantic," he lied smoothly. "Investments, charity, environmental protection. I have been working myself to the bone just to spend this money responsibly." He finally addressed the elephant in the room, the streamer girl from earlier. "She was just a vessel for my spending," he confessed. "I needed to dump cash fast, so I staged that little scene to make the transaction look natural." He reached out, gently clasping the campus girl's hand. "You are the only person in this world who knows my secret now. I don't expect you to understand the burden I carry." His voice trembled with feigned sorrow. "Take care of yourself." He turned, ready to walk away into the darkness. The campus goddess stood there, paralyzed by the revelation. His words pierced her heart. Tears flowed freely as she realized the truth. She had been nothing but a burden while he carried the weight of the world. While he was fighting a lonely battle for his legacy, she had been accusing him of infidelity. The guilt crashed over her like a tidal wave. She couldn't let him go. She sprinted forward and wrapped her arms around him from behind, burying her face in his back. "Don't go!" she sobbed, screaming his name. "I was wrong. Please, don't leave me. I'm so sorry." He trusted me with his family's deepest secret, she thought, her heart racing. That means he truly loves me. System alert. Her favorability just exploded. A massive increase of 20 points. Current status 92. Devoted love. They walked back to the group, fingers intertwined. Her voice was soft and meek now. "You don't need to apologize," she whispered. "I was the one being unreasonable," she admitted, looking down. "I ruined everyone's appetite." She looked up with determination. "Your friends are my friends. Tonight's bill is on me." The host nearly choked on his drink. 5 minutes, he roared with laughter. "You sorted that mess out in 5 minutes. My brother, you are a god among men." But across the table, the clingy streamer's face twisted into a mask of jealousy. She bit her nail, glaring at the campus goddess's newfound confidence. "Look at her." The streamer seethed inwardly, acting like the madam of the house already. "The game isn't over yet, honey." The tension simmered as everyone took their seats, the table groaning under the weight of a delicious feast. The streamer put on her best innocent mask. "Appa," she cooed, blinking her eyes. "Why haven't you introduced this older sister to us yet? Who exactly is she to you?" The question hung in the air. The main character stayed silent, leaning back to watch the sparks fly. The campus goddess let out a chilling, mocking laugh. Calling him Appa, she sneered. That's a bit intimate for someone who doesn't even know his real name, isn't it? Her eyes flashed dangerously. I suggest you drop the brother act right now. Besides, she added, delivering the killing blow, judging by your wrinkles, he's definitely younger than you, Auntie. The atmosphere at the table froze instantly. Cold sweat trickled down the host's forehead. This isn't a dinner, he thought. It's a war zone. The campus goddess was simply too powerful. This wasn't a fight. It was a massacre, a complete one-sided domination. A victorious smirk played on her lips. She reveled in the moment, having successfully triggered the streamer into a blind rage. The protagonist sensed the air was about to ignite. It was time to intervene before blood was spilled. Let's just eat, he said breezily. I'm starving. Across the table, the two girls glared at each other, fire and ice colliding, neither willing to blink. But at his command, the hostilities ceased. With synchronized huffs of annoyance, they snapped their heads away. Declaring a temporary truce, the host stared at the main character, his jaw practically on the floor. He didn't even raise his voice. The host marveled. To tame these tigresses without breaking a sweat. His skills are truly unfathomable. In the theater of his mind, he analyzes the two formidable women under his influence. One is a queen of the internet, a wealthy shark anchor commanding an army of fans. The other is a local legend, a beauty with ambition soaring higher than the heavens. Yet, our main character holds the leash to both their hearts with terrifying ease. The host watches in awe, concluding that the protagonist's mastery has transcended mere charm. It is an art form that defies logic. To his eyes, the main character is no longer human, but a male succubus, enslaving souls with nothing but his overwhelming presence. Initially, the host was merely blinded by the glitter of gold, but now, reverence fills his soul. The main character has become his spiritual god. Overcome by a surge of loyalty, he roars his devotion to the heavens, vowing to follow his master to the grave, leaving the main character bewildered by this sudden fanaticism. Later, the scene shifts back to the Huda campus, where the atmosphere cools. The protagonist reflects that the restaurant's bill was astronomical. Fortunately, his wallet remained untouched. The burden fell on others. His mind drifts from finance to grand strategy. Curiosity strikes, and he summons the blue glow of his system interface. The system reports total victory, the conquest of his ex-girlfriends, and the art college beauties are marked as complete. The status window flickers, revealing the campus girl's favorability has hit 91, while the clingy streamer is obsessed at a staggering 92. Though their arcs remain unfinished, their devotion borders on worship. He ponders if the time has come to stop playing safely and launch a full-scale offensive. Suddenly, an anomaly catches his eye. The favorability of his former bully's girlfriend has skyrocketed to 76. Shock ripples through him. It was a mere 25 not long ago. He questions if his charisma stat has become so potent that it warps reality itself. Before he can analyze the data further, two male students sprint past him, buzzing with adrenaline. Their voices carry news of a spectacle. A public confession is unfolding downstairs. One student mocks the suitor as a pure love warrior, charging to his doom. A mischievous smirk plays on the main character's lips. This tragedy sounds entertaining. Following the noise, he arrives at the dormitory square, now swarming with a massive audience. At the epicenter, surrounded by a heart shape from flickering candles, his former bully stages a desperate final stand. An accomplice strums an electric guitar, singing cringeworthy lyrics that make the air heavy with secondhand embarrassment. Under the gazes of hundreds, the bully drops to his knees, clutching a bouquet of red roses, and screams his confession to the night sky. He prostrates himself, admitting his sins of cold violence and arrogance, stripping away his pride in a bid for redemption. The mob, loving the drama, chants for forgiveness. The bully invokes their shared history, begging for one last chance at love. The chant grows deafening, pressuring the girl to accept, but the expression on his girlfriend's face is not one of joy. It is a mask of pure fury and disgust. The grand gesture has only deepened her resentment. The main character pushes through the throng, his eyes locking onto the kneeling figure. Recognition dawns with a cruel sense of amusement. It is indeed Li Wang, the antagonist who once tried to trample him. Witnessing this pathetic display, the protagonist laughs internally. This isn't romance. It is a third-rate tragedy performed by a clown. Suddenly, the trajectory of fate shifts. The bully's girlfriend spots the main character standing amidst the spectators. Her eyes widen in shock. A flush consumes her face, and without hesitation, she casts the bully's roses into the dirt. She pivots and sprints toward the main character, leaving Li Wang frozen, a statue of abandonment. Tears and mucus mingle on the bully's face as he wails, screaming the name Qing, begging the empty air for her return. His voice cracks with despair, but his cries are futile. She does not spare him a single glance. The now ex-girlfriend halts before the main character, her eyes shining with a frantic, desperate delight. She breathes his name like a prayer, declaring that fortune has finally smiled upon her. In a blur of motion, she whips out her smartphone, catching the main character off guard. She pleads for his WeChat contact, thrusting the device forward, terrified that he might reject her advance. A collective gasp sweeps through the crowd. Whispers ignite like wildfire. Who is this new player entering the arena? The spectators murmur that the pure love warrior has been slain in cold blood. The scene defies all expectations. Fingers point accusingly at the tragic figure of Li Wang, still kneeling within the mockery of his candlelit heart. He collapses, clutching his chest in agony, declaring his heart is shattered. The once proud senior Li Wang is utterly destroyed in the public eye, but sorrow is a fleeting visitor, soon replaced by a darker force. Li Wang's face contorts, his eyes bleeding crimson with hate. Rage consumes him as he realizes it is the main character who has taken everything once again. His heart screamed in denial, rejecting the cruel reality. Rage boiled within him as he cursed the woman who had shattered his trust so completely. Chen Yuan stared down at him with terrifying calm. He asked if he felt the stinging frustration, the confusion of being abandoned for no logical reason. His former tormentor glared up, eyes bloodshot with rage. He screamed back, demanding answers, accusing Yuan of trying to trample his dignity into the dirt. The protagonist took a single, domineering step forward. His voice cut through the air like a blade. He confesses that he once gazed with envy at this man, a man blessed with looks and talent who effortlessly commanded the hearts of women. The protagonist exposes the truth that the bully treated that adoration not as a gift, but as a tribute he was owed. Yet, the moment that charm began to wither, panic set in not self-reflection, but sheer desperate terror. His mind became a battlefield where only victory mattered, completely trampling over the fragile heart of the woman he claimed to love. The main character drives the final nail in the coffin. It was the bully's own frigid neglect that severed their bond. He declares that now, with everything lost, playing the victim is pathetic. Begging for reconciliation only transforms him into a clown for the audience's amusement. A hush falls over the crowd as the words strike home, leaving the former tyrant utterly voiceless. His face contorts in anguish, tears streaming freely as he bows his head. In a shattered voice, he surrenders to the truth the main character is right, and the sin is his alone. The whispers of the onlookers return, swelling into a roar of judgment. One observer notes that this is not interference, but the bitter harvest of the former bully's own mistakes. Another agrees, remarking that emotional neglect is a stain that cannot simply be washed away. A voice cuts through, pointing out that if kindness was absent then, performative apologies now are nothing but meaningless ash. The crowd nods in solemn agreement. Meanwhile, the ex-girlfriend drinks in every word, and the truth strikes her heart like a thunderbolt. A flush returns to her cheeks, her eyes shimmer with warmth as she realizes the main character truly sees into her soul. A tidal wave of emotion crashes over her, and affection for him blooms with terrifying intensity. The system chimes instantly. Her favorability has skyrocketed to 91. However, in the shadows, a roommate watches the scene unfold with widening eyes. She stares in disbelief, her mind racing to connect the protagonist and this crying woman. Suspicion takes root like a poisonous vine. She decides the campus goddess must know the truth immediately. Fueled by righteous fury, she storms toward the dormitory. She bursts in, slamming the door with force enough to startle Zhao, who is peacefully applying a face mask. The furious friend screams that disaster has struck, declaring with absolute certainty that the protagonist is a cheating scumbag. Shia frantically tries to convince Zhao that her boyfriend is betraying her. She reveals the details of the girl confessing and their stolen glances, but Zhao remains an unshakable fortress of oblivion. Zhao argues that he cannot control who falls for him. Desperate, her friend tries to present evidence of Yuan showering money on other women, but our hero's girlfriend dismisses it effortlessly, She is well aware of his habits as a top-tier donor for female streamers. To her, transparency equals trust. As long as he is honest, their bond remains unbreakable. Instead, she dismisses Shia cold-heartedly, claiming someone single could never understand the complexities of a relationship, and walks away. Shia is left trembling at her friend's blindness. Meanwhile, our hero is enjoying or trying to enjoy a rather chaotic social gathering. Seeing Yuan during the murder mystery game irritates Shang Tao, especially as girls shriek in delight, wishing only to watch this handsome idol breathe. Xiao admits he needs our hero there. His divine visuals are the only bait that lures the ladies in. But suddenly, the sound of Lin Shuang weeping over a betrayal captures our hero's attention. Shang Tao explains he couldn't turn her away after she sought him out, mentioning rumors that she has been seeking medical help for her distress. Yuan feels a pang of unease. Perhaps he pushed the boundaries too far. He was hurt, yes, but seeing her desperate attempts to atone and her consuming guilt makes him question if he has become a monster of cruelty. The fangirls encircle our main character, demanding to know if the rumors are true. Is he really the legendary online big spender? Shenhao Yuanzong. He ponders his answer, but a mocking voice cuts through the air, threatening to behead anyone who dares compare Yuan to that titan. A man steps into the light, scoffing at the mere idea that our hero could rival the great Yuanzong. Our hero's eyes narrow in recognition, but the stranger ignores him, striding purposefully toward Lin Shuang. Introducing himself as Li Yuntao, a wealthy shop owner, he boldly demands her number while she stands there, blushing in stunned silence. In high school, this man was a nightmare, a wealthy tyrant who used his family's influence to trample our hero into the dirt. Our hero decides to play the long game. He will remain low-key, allowing this clown to flex his power before delivering the ultimate reality check. Yan hypes Li Yuntao up as the ultimate catch, a prestigious student, a CEO, and a multimillionaire with assets that command respect. The crowd gasps, their jaws hitting the floor at this display of status. Then, our hero plays the role of the pauper perfectly, denying his identity as Yuanzong. He claims his family merely stumbled upon a few million in demolition money, a sum that still manages to irritate Li Yuntao. Meanwhile, Lin Shuang is visibly shaken by the revelation of such wealth. Her eyes dart between the two men. The gears turn in her mind as she begins to weigh her options. Suddenly, the system chimed, her favorability for Yuan plummeted, and the licking dog bond was instantly severed. Faced with the rival's overwhelming wealth, her choice was made. Li Yuntao burst into mocking laughter. He relished the fact that Yuan was picking up the scraps he had tossed aside. He leaned in, whispering venom into our hero's ear. "You exist only to be crushed beneath my heel." Then, with a smirk, he ordered the waiter to waive Yuan's bill as an act of pity. Seeing this maniacal laughter, Xiang Tao trembled with worry, but Chen Yuan merely smiled, his composure unshaken. He had offered Lin Shuang a path to redemption, but she was too blind to see it. Now, the last embers of his sympathy had turned to ash. She deserved her fate. Before departing, Li Yuntao threw down the gauntlet. He dared Yuan to attend the high school reunion at the prestigious Kyushu restaurant the very next day. A plan formed instantly in Yuan's mind. His eyes glinted with calculation. "Since you insist," he replied, "I wouldn't miss it for the world." At the reunion, Li Yuntao played the generous king. He told the classmates to drink and feast to their heart's content. But there was a price for his generosity. He demanded they elevate him and belittle everyone else when Xiaoruyu arrived. Eager for his favor, the classmates readily agreed to become his sycophants. They heaped praise upon him, declaring that he and the goddess were a match made in heaven. Our hero watched this display of arrogance in silence. Suddenly, the door swung open. Xiaoruyu stepped inside, her beauty radiating like a celestial light. She apologized softly for her lateness. Seeing her face, memories flooded back to Yuan. She was the one star that had illuminated his dark high school years. Her cold, noble aura had once driven men to madness and war. Ignoring the tension, Yuan walked straight up to the goddess and asked for her contact info. Li Yuntao watched, seething with jealousy. To everyone's shock, Xiaoruyu agreed. Though confusion filled her eyes, she had no memory of this man. Ding, the system voice rang out. The licking dog bond has been successfully established. However, the stats were brutal. Her favorability remained at a frozen 0. The crowd murmured, admitting that our hero had grown into a striking figure. But then, the venomous Liao Jia stepped in. She sneered, labeling Yuan a mere lackey for the wealthy second generation. She accused him of acting as a pimp for rich playboys, warning everyone that men like him only existed to deceive innocent girls. She screamed at the MC, tearing into his character, even when others tried to defend him. Her malice drowned them out. Liao Jiayas announced her twisted theory to the room. He only wants Xiao Ruyu's number to sell it to his masters. She burst into fake crocodile tears. The damage was instant. Xiao Ruyu's favorability for the protagonist crashed to -10. Li Yuntao saw his chance and struck. He looked at Yuan with mock pity, saying, "If you needed money that badly, you should have just begged me." He postured as the moral superior, flexing his clean wealth. But Yuan saw right through the charade. This was a coordinated ambush by Li Yuntao and Liao Jia. Anyone else would have crumbled under the humiliation. But our hero smiled. He would gladly use this stage to crush them beneath his feet. He calmly pulled out his phone and sent a command to Xiaozhang, "Bring the Ferrari, park it right at the entrance." Meanwhile, the guests patted their full stomachs, satisfied with Li Yuntao's lavish feast. As they exited, the arrogant heir believed victory was his. He offered to drive the goddess home. But Xiao Ruyu rejected him cold. Suddenly, a waiter rushed out. He frantically asked Li Yuntao to move his vehicle immediately. Li Yuntao scoffed, offended that a paying customer was being ordered around. But the waiter stood firm. That spot was reserved for a supreme VIP arriving after 9 p.m. A true heavyweight was approaching. His ego bruised. Li Yuntao marched out to see who dared displace him. But in the parking lot, his jaw dropped. A sleek, roaring Ferrari pulled in like a beast claiming its territory. A hypercar worth 20 million, a machine he had only ever seen in magazines and exhibitions. The crowd gasped. Recognizing the driver, it was Xiao Zhang of the mighty Zhang Group, a titan of the second generation. Everyone trembled, grateful they hadn't offended such a figure. But then, reality shattered. Xiao Zhang bowed and handed the keys to Chen Yuan. "Manager," he said with deep respect, "your car is ready." Li Yuntao felt his soul leave his body. The owner of this mechanical beast was his rival, Chen Yuan. He wasn't a lackey. He wasn't a servant. He was a dragon hiding in the shallows, pretending to be ordinary. As Yuan casually introduced Zhang to the class, the truth dawned on them. Liao Jia's accusations were nothing but filthy lies. Xiao Ruyu's eyes widened. She realized instantly that Liao Jia and Li Yuntao had conspired to assassinate his character. She was struck by his dignity. Even while slandered, he hadn't stooped to argue. Suddenly, her favorability for the MC began to climb. This time, when he offered to drive her home, she nodded with a shy smile as our hero roared away with the beauty in the passenger seat. Li Yuntao was left in the dust, realizing the truth. The gap between him and Chen Yuan wasn't just money. It was the difference between a god and a dog. Meanwhile, speeding through the city, Xiao Ruyu begins to question if she has leaped into the devil's car without looking. The scene shifted. Our hero finally spoke up, pointing out the rare DKN pendant dangling from his date's bag. She froze, eyes going wide. She was shocked to find someone who actually recognized the obscure anime merchandise. A warm smile spread across our hero's face. He confessed that he loved watching the Odin series, and Dika was his absolute favorite. Her eyes lit up. She explained she had loved it since childhood, but always watched alone, isolated by her hobby. As their gazes met, Ryu couldn't help but blush. Seeing her this happy and lively stirred something within him. He wondered if her usual cold demeanor was just a shield to protect this fragile, innocent side. Regardless, seeing her joy was intoxicating. For the first time in his life, our hero felt the distinct, terrifying pull of true love. After dropping Ryu home, they bid farewell in the anime's secret language, dissolving into innocent, childlike laughter together. As Yuan walked away into the night, our new heroine watched him go. He was fascinating. He didn't mock her, he understood her. He was different, unlike any man she had ever met before. But the fantasy shattered the moment she stepped inside. Her mother was waiting, voice cold and expecting. "Have you thought about the blind date?" It wasn't a request. She reminded Ryu that her father's company was on the brink of collapse. The Han family's investment was their only lifeline. They had no choice. Ryu clenched her fists, trying to stand her ground. "Does my happiness mean nothing?" she cried out. "You'd force me to marry a notorious playboy just to save the business." Her mother's expression hardened. She scolded her daughter sharply, reminding her that every privilege she enjoyed was built on the family's blood and sweat. "If the company falls," she warned, "we lose everything. The entire family will be ruined." Seeing her daughter's tears, the mother softened, resigning to fate. "I know Han Xiaoan isn't perfect, but we have no other path." She grasped her daughter's hands, pleading desperately. "Men become responsible after marriage. Please, not for us. Accept the proposal." Cornered by duty, Ruyu had no choice but to agree. Meanwhile, Zhang Hodian dropped a bombshell in the group chat. The rumors were out. The Xia group was facing financial ruin, and Princess Ruyu was likely being sold off to the Han family to fix it. Wenji stared at the screen, realizing he had stumbled into a crisis. As memories of his childhood crush flashed before his eyes, his resolve hardened. He would not be a bystander anymore. He turned to leave, but his path was blocked. A woman stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with recognition. She walked up confidently, extending a business card. "You have the look," she purred. "How would you like to become an internet celebrity?" But Wenji brushed past her without a glance. Shen Shui's ego took a massive hit. Her pride stung. She switched tactics instantly. "You think you can walk away?" she called out, boasting of her agency's power. She invoked a terrifying name, Mr. Yuan, the wealthy tycoon who dominated the Shark platform. Her voice dropped to a sinister threat. "Sign with us, or I'll have Mr. Yuan blacklist you from the industry forever." The audacity of this woman was testing his patience. She had no idea she was threatening the real Mr. Yuan with his own name. She gambled on his silence, unaware that while she played checkers, the shadows behind him were already moving to checkmate her. With a few taps, he unleashed the truth in the exclusive group chat, exposing Shen Shui's deceit to the most powerful figures in the city. Just as she sneered, asking if he had considered her arrogant offer, karma struck. Her phone rang, cutting through the tension like a blade. Trembling, she answered, only to have her boss's fury explode in her ear, commanding her immediate return to face the consequences. As she stammered out pathetic excuses, our hero turned his gaze elsewhere. It was time to show the Han group the true meaning of power. Meanwhile, Roy's mother tried desperately to lift the heavy gloom settling over her daughter like a suffocating fog. She played the guilt card again, reminding Rai of the family's crumbling legacy and Uncle Han's offer a devil's bargain disguised as salvation. "Think of it as making connections," she urged, promising that Han Xiaowang was a prize worth the sacrifice of her own happiness. A sudden chime broke the tension. It was a text from Yuan, demanding her exact location the moment she arrived at the hotel. Her heart skipped a beat as she stared at the screen. Could he know? Did he sense the trap closing around her? If she had to choose a savior in this cruel world, her heart already belonged to Yuan. Compared to him, everyone else was dust. But reality crashed back down as her father's plea for composure shackled her will, forcing our heroine to bow her head in submission. The Xiao family arrived at the venue, guided by a stoic attendant toward the Viper's Nest where President Han awaited them. The attendant's gaze lingered on Rai's legendary beauty, but in his eyes, she was nothing more than fresh meat for the Han family wolves. Rui noticed the heavy briefcase in his hand. Why bring stacks of documents to a romantic meeting? The air grew thick with suspicion. Stepping into the lion's den, President Han didn't waste time, ordering Xiaowang to serve tea to Mr. Xiao like a dutiful servant. But one look at the document-laden table shattered the illusion. This wasn't a blind date. It was a business transaction, and she was the currency. The Han Group stood as a titan in Seoul, a colossus built on gray industries and shadows where the law dared not tread. At its helm sat Hansen, a man whose cunning was matched only by his insatiable greed for profit. Han Xiang pours honeyed words over Ruoyu, praising her beauty, but she maintains a polite distance and secretly texts Chen Yuan her location. The young master continues his act, claiming he lost sleep and appetite after their last meeting, promising that his father will rescue her family from their financial despair. Against every fiber of her being, Ruoyu hesitantly thanks him, but Han Xiang takes this as an invitation, his hands reaching out to touch her as he dials her parents. Ruoyu recoils instantly, pushing him away and stopping the call, but her father's voice blares from the phone, scolding her for her rudeness, fueling the fire of her indignation. He wears a mask of false reassurance, guiding them toward the devil's bargain as they review the final terms. The atmosphere is heavy with tension as they sit at the table. Scrutinizing the clauses of the equity transfer, the document demands a staggering 100 million in funding for the Yuan Han Group in exchange for a 20% stake, but the true cost is Ruyu's hand in marriage to Han Xiaowang. However, the devil's in the details regarding the 100 million. The funds will drip into the public account in slow installments, with the final payment locked away until Ruyu bears a male heir for the Han bloodline. The realization hits Ruyu like a physical blow, igniting a firestorm of rage within her. She snatches the papers, her eyes widening in horror at the clauses selling her body and future, and screams at her father for betraying her like this. Her mother attempts to placate her, but Ruyu is done being silent. She refuses to be the sacrificial lamb for her father's failures. She draws a line in the sand, declaring she will never marry Han Xiaowang, a man known only for his depravity and vice. Desperate to salvage his crumbling business, her father strikes. A sharp slap echoes through the room, leaving Ruyu stunned into silence. Mr. Xiao scoffs, claiming he raised a selfish daughter who abandons her kin in their darkest hour just because she was spoiled. Even her mother joins the assault, pleading that this sacrifice is the only thing standing between the family and total ruin. Ruyu pleads with them, insisting that they can find another way if they just work together to rebuild the empire, but her words fall on deaf ears. Suddenly, her mother collapses to the floor, begging at her daughter's feet. The entire room freezes at the pathetic sight of the matriarch on her knees. Ruyu tries to pull her up, but her mother is immovable until the marriage is accepted. Han Xiaowang steps forward, a predator eyeing his prey, claiming he'll do anything for his future bride. Tears stream down Ruyu's face as she mourns her own cruel destiny. She sees the truth to her family. She is nothing but currency. In her mind, a golden cage descends, and she whispers her surrender just to end her mother's humiliation. Instantly, her parents' faces transform, beaming with a twisted, sickening joy. Mr. Xiao dismisses his violence as mere frustration, acting as if the slap never happened now that he has what he wants. With the victim secured, Hansen pushes to seal the deal immediately, hungry to transfer the funds and claim the prize before she changes her mind. Han Xiaowang can barely contain himself, practically drooling at the thought of possessing such a high-class beauty in his bed. But just as the ink is about to dry, the doors crash open. Our main character makes a grand entrance, shattering the tension. Ruyu's heart leaps with relief at the sight of her savior, while Han Xiaowang glares at the unwelcome interruption. The fool swings at our hero, but Chen Yuan silences him with a single devastating punch. The Han guards swarm forward, shouting death threats and flaunting their status. But to Chen Yuan, these people are nothing more than trash scum who buy and sell women like cattle. He issues a chilling decree: if they dare move, the entire Han family will be erased from existence. However, Hansen is a veteran of the underworld. Seeing how this stranger uncovered their secret meeting and location, he realizes this is no ordinary youth standing before him. He demands to know the hero's background, but receives only silence. When Xiaowang tries to rage again, his father shuts him down instantly. He warns his son to watch and learn. Sensing a trap behind their opponent's confidence, Chen Yuan turns to Ruyu, his voice softening as he promises to obliterate her burdens. For the first time, peace settles in her heart. He snatches the contract, turning his cold gaze to Mr. Xiao. He mocks the man for his stupidity, selling his own flesh and blood for a measly 100 million when he still holds distinct power. With a decisive motion, our hero shreds the contract into confetti and offers to buy 60% of the group for 500 million, leaving everyone paralyzed with shock. Hansen's eyes narrow. To conjure that kind of liquid cash, this young man must be backed by an empire worth at least 10 billion boa. The cunning fox tries to calculate the angles, but Chen Yuan is an enigma he cannot solve. Mr. Xiao's greed flares with 500 million. He wouldn't just survive, he could expand his territory and conquer, but the offer comes with strings attached. Chen Yuan raises a finger, pointing directly at his girlfriend. Ruyu gasps, the color draining from her face as she wonders if Yuan is buying her for 500 million. Her heart sinks into an abyss, terrified that Chen Yuan is just another monster viewing her as a product with a price tag. Years of trauma weigh on her. She has always been a pawn on a chessboard to be used and discarded. She feels ignored, helpless. But as Chen Yuan speaks again, the darkness begins to crack. He delivers the ultimatum with the force of an imperial decree. The 60% shares must be transferred entirely to Ruyu's name. In exchange, the 500 million will be wired to her parents the moment the transfer is complete. His words strike like a divine thunderbolt. shattering the greed of her parents and the doubts in Ryu's heart. To him, this isn't a transaction, it is a coronation. But then, salvation arrives. A warmth spreads through her chest as she realizes that true heroes still exist in this dark world. Chen Yuan is not another captor here to tighten her chains. He's the breaker of shackles, the one who brings freedom. Deep admiration blooms within her soul, and her heart lifts with overwhelming trust, causing her favorability toward him to skyrocket to 85 points. Chen Yuan's assistant steps forward with the prepared contract, and with cool composure, our protagonist leans in, inviting Ryu to sign her name. His tone is firm yet gentle, carrying a heavy promise that from this moment on, no one will ever control her destiny again. Moved beyond words, she signs the document, while her parents are sent into a frenzy of joy as the promised 500 million hits their account. Their faces twist with ugly greed, and her father, Lao, shamelessly asks if Chen Yuan's demands are truly limited to just money. But Chen Yuan's expression turns to ice. He reminds them that the fate of their entire clan now rests in the palm of his hand. He warns them that if they ever force Ryu against her will again, he vows to make them experience pain that transcends imagination. The killing intent in his voice chills them to the bone, silencing their greed instantly. With the matter settled, our main character tells Ryu there is no reason to linger in this filth. Just as they turn to leave, Mr. Han steps forward, blocking their path. His tone is respectful, his pride completely swallowed. He admits he is impressed by Chen Yuan's decisiveness and apologizes for his foolish son, begging our boy to overlook the earlier conflict. Mr. Han is a man who understands the hierarchy of power. He knows our protagonist is a dragon that cannot be touched, but his son, unwilling to accept defeat, interrupts with a loud protest. He insists that Chen Yuan struck him first, but his whining earns him no sympathy. In a blinding flash, Mr. Han reacts. The father strikes his son across the face. His rage boils over as he beats the boy, screaming that such stupidity will destroy the Han family legacy. Chen Yuan does not waste a single second watching this farce. With calm indifference, he guides Ryu away from the chaos. In the quiet sanctuary of the car, Ryu finally gathers the courage to break the silence. She thanks Chen Yuan for saving her, yet he dismisses it gently, revealing a shocking truth. This is not the first time he has come to her rescue. His words strike her heart like a bell, leaving her stunned as a sudden flood of memories crashes into her mind. A haunting flashback pulls her back to a night where fear sat heavy on her chest like a stone. She remembers pedaling her bicycle furiously, legs burning as she tried to race home before the shadows could catch her. Ryu's heart was pounding a frantic rhythm, her mind filled with dread, silently praying she wouldn't cross paths with anyone dangerous. But fate was merciless that night. A group of imposing men stepped out of the darkness, blocking her only path. She froze in terror, her voice trembling as she demanded to know who they were, but the predators only grinned. When they reached for her, fear exploded in her veins. She tried to flee, but they were too strong, towering over her as she begged for mercy. Suddenly, an unknown boy stormed onto the scene, his movements swift and decisive like a lightning strike. Without a shred of hesitation, he seized one of the attackers and dragged him away from Ryu, his voice shouting a single command, "Run!" Startled and desperate, she obeyed, fleeing into the night with tears blurring her vision, never seeing the face of the boy who stayed behind to fight for her. By the time Ryu gathered the courage to return with the police, the battle was long over. When she arrived with the officers, both her mysterious savior and the aggressors had vanished without a trace. She stood there in shock, her heart aching with the realization that she might never know the identity of her guardian angel. Back in the present, as the memory clarifies, her eyes lock with Chen Yuan's, and she admits softly that she never dreamed her rescuer would be him. That smile, pure and filled with relief, strikes deep into our boy's heart. In that instant, her favorability toward him soars to 95, marking the absolute completion of his counterattack. A blue system notification flashes. The host has consumed 500 million yuan in licking gold, granting a cashback reward of 50 million yuan. Ryu, now fully recognized as a devoted host, gains 35 points of reinforced breath and the status of salvation. She instantly acquires mastery in multiple languages including English, French, Russian, and Korean. Her transformation is complete. While Chen Yuan is granted the title of the unstoppable little superhero, his role is now firmly established in the grand scheme of things. Chen Yuan reads the notification in disbelief. He had not expected this victory to come so swiftly. The capture was complete, even though he had countless strategies still left in his arsenal. It feels almost too fast, yet as he gazes at Ruoyu's smiling face, a sense of warmth replaces all his doubts. Back in the arena, adrenaline surged. For the first time, he wasn't just watching history unfold, he was writing it with his own hands. The atmosphere crackled with electric tension, just as their lips were mere millimeters apart. The piercing ringtone of Xiaoyuki shattered the moment like glass. Chen Yuan and Ruoyu recoiled instantly. Crimson blushes consumed their faces as they turned away, hearts pounding in their chests from the awkwardness. It was Xiaoyuki on the line, her voice bubbling with excitement. She chirped about already moving into the villa and her shopping spree for new furniture, completely oblivious to the mood she had just destroyed. Her voice rings out through the phone, playful yet demanding, testing his memory of tomorrow's date. Chen Yuan pauses for a heartbeat before the realization strikes it is her birthday. Smoothly, he lies that the gifts are already prepared, but as he speaks, his eyes dart nervously toward Ruoyu sitting beside him. Yuki's timing could not be more lethal. On the other end, Yuki issues a warning, don't buy anything too expensive. Chen Yuan. She insists on modesty, reminding him that she will be celebrating with ordinary classmates, not seeking extravagance. He agrees verbally, though his mind races to find a gift that fits such a paradox. Meanwhile, in a luxury villa, a maid interrupts Yuki to ask about a photo frame. The call ends. Yuki leaps up, spinning in a circle of pure euphoria. She cheers to the empty room. The $60 million mansion is finally hers. Back in the car, Chen Yuan drops a dangerous comment to Ruoyu about a classmate's birthday party. He extends an invitation, but internally, he is praying to the heavens that she refuses. Ruoyu smiles politely and declines. She cites a busy schedule with contract signings and notes that his college friends would not be her crowd. Her intuition is sharp. She senses the secrets lurking behind Chen Yuan's eyes, but she knows the rules of the game. Asking questions often leads to lies, and some truths are better left buried. Chen Yuan clears his throat, suppressing a sigh of massive relief, yet, for the sake of appearances, he feigns insistence. Ruoyu stands firm, promising to visit his school another time. Finally, Chen Yuan exhales, the tension leaving his shoulders. He knows that bringing her to the party would be nothing short of a catastrophe. Ruoyu remains calm, secure in her confidence. She understands the nature of power. A king will always be surrounded by admiring subjects. Yet, she trusts her own allure completely. What belongs to her will never be taken. As they exit the car, she offers a sincere thanks. Chen Yuan smirks, teasing her. If you feel guilty about skipping the party, shouldn't you pay a little interest? Ruoyu does not hesitate. She leans in, her movement fluid and elegant, and presses her lips to his cheek. Consider this the interest, she whispers, boldly stamping her claim on him. Chen Yuan turns back to his Ferrari, heart racing like a schoolboy's. He plans to escape into some video games, but a shrill, familiar voice cuts through the air behind him. He checks the rearview mirror. It is Liu Tong. Chen Yuan ignores his ex-girlfriend completely, gunning the engine and vanishing in a roar of horsepower. Staring at the dust he left behind, Liu Tong begins to dissect the reality crashing down on her. He lied, she gasps. His wealth. It dwarfs Leon Tao's. Everything he said before was a test. She realizes he was weighing her sincerity, and she was found wanting. Her chest constricts as if crushed by a giant hand. Another golden chance, slipping through her fingers like sand. The weight of regret is crushing, and tears flood her face as she grabs onto her friend. Sun Rui. Her voice trembles with despair. He will never forgive me. I've lost him forever. She wails to Sun Rui that the bridge is burned, the situation beyond repair. Sun Rui looks down at her, eyes cold. If I were in your shoes, she says casually, I wouldn't have been so stupid. The words strike Liu Tong like a physical blow. She stares in horror, her best friend, harboring designs on the man she just lost. Sun Rui drops the act. She praises Chen Yuan openly, declaring his excellence to be absolute. A man of that caliber deserves to be hunted. She sneers, and I have no shame in admitting I want him. She twists the knife deeper. Chen Yuan is already disgusted with you. He has outgrown your weakness and your indecision. He needs a strong woman, Sun Rui declares. Someone like me. Liu Tong snaps. The humiliation is too much to bear. Screaming, She lunges forward, her fingers tangling viciously in Sunrui's hair. Sunrui strikes back instantly. The two women collapse to the pavement in a disgraceful brawl, while bystanders eagerly record the shame on their phones. When the fight ends, Liu Tong is left in ruins. Her dignity is gone. Her man is gone. Betrayed by her best friend and left in the dirt while Chen Yuan ascends to the heavens, further out of reach than ever, she stares into the abyss of her future. But then, the sound of heels clicking on the pavement approaches. Liu Tong turns to see Shen Shui standing there, radiating an aura of calm superiority. Shen Shui makes an offer. "Do you wish to become an internet celebrity?" she asks. "Join my agency." A devilish smile curves her lips as she whispers the hook. "Do this, and I have a way to help you steal Chen Yuan back." Meanwhile, Chen Yuan rocks in his chair, deep in thought about the perfect gift for Xiao Yuqi. He realizes that inspiration cannot be forced, it must be found. He decides to walk the streets and let fate guide his choice. But before he can leave, a sight stops him cold. A boy nearby, his face illuminated by the hypnotic glow of a computer screen. Nearby, a boy chuckled, his eyes glued to a live stream. Driven by instinct, Chen Yuan leaned in, his gaze sharpening to see what was so entertaining. There, projected on the screen, was Liu Tong. Her eyes were swollen red, brimming with crocodile tears designed to win sympathy. Facing an audience of thousands, she audaciously claimed to be the girlfriend of Yuanzong Chen Yuan's secret business persona. She spun a tale of being his first love, dating back to their freshman year. According to her twisted narrative, our protagonist had chased her relentlessly. She claimed she only accepted his feelings because of his so-called sincerity. With a straight face, she insisted she never cared for his wealth, only his heart. The audacity was skyrocketing. Her performance was Oscar-worthy sobs, trembling words, painting herself as a fragile victim discarded by a powerful tycoon. But to Chen Yuan, this was nothing but a sickening farce. He knew her core better than anyone. Liu Tong was simple-minded. She didn't have the brain power to orchestrate such a cunning, high-level manipulation scheme, hijacking his reputation and crafting the perfect victim narrative. That wasn't her style. Someone was pulling the strings from the shadows. Chen Yuan's eyes went cold. It was time to act. He immediately dialed Lao Hong. "Find the company behind this live stream, now." The results came back at lightning speed. Liu Tong's stream belonged to Shark Company, owned by none other than Shen Shui. A dark fury surged through Chen Yuan's veins like molten lava. Shen Shui had poked the bear one too many times. But this was a declaration of war. Thinking Chen Yuan was powerless was an insult he would not forgive. Unaware of the impending doom, Shen Shui sat comfortably in her office, sipping coffee and basking in the skyrocketing traffic numbers. The broadcast had already smashed past 100,000 viewers. She smirked, convinced her scheme was absolutely flawless. But mere moments ago, her boss had grilled her, terrified. He warned her that the man she was targeting wasn't just some rich kid. He was a titan capable of crushing their existence with a snap of his fingers. Shen Shui had frozen in shock as the reality hit her. Chen Yuan wasn't just a student. He was the legendary Mr. Yuanzong, the mysterious whale who dropped hundreds of millions without blinking and dominated every major platform. Desperate, she deluded herself. Chen Yuan must still have feelings for Liu Tong, she thought. That's his weakness. If she could make Liu Tong an internet sensation, surely his anger would fade. He might even invest in her company in her twisted mind. She was a genius strategist. Suddenly, her phone rang. Her expression shattered. The news was merciless. Her company had been banned across the entire internet. Chen Yuan had sent a decree to all major shareholders. "I detest the entity known as Dream Media." His command was absolute. He wanted no association with them. He wanted them erased from the face of the business world. The message was received loud and clear. Phones lit up as allies pulled their shares from Dream Media faster than she could blink. No questions asked. Shen Shui stood paralyzed as a call came in confirming the total ban. "How?" she stammered, trembling. How could every partnership be terminated instantly? Her secretary stumbled in, face pale. He delivered the final blow. Major shareholders had sent formal withdrawal letters. The money was gone. Worse, according to the contract, they were now liable to repurchase those shares immediately. The cost, 10 million. Shen Shui's legs gave out. The company didn't have anywhere near that kind of liquidity. Gasping for air, she screamed into the void. Who on earth has the power to do this to me? The nightmare wasn't over. The next day, cold-faced men in suits arrived. Loan overdue for 6 months. The court has ordered forced execution. Your assets are frozen. Her empire crumbled. Employees bowed apologetically, handing in resignations one by one, fleeing the sinking ship. They wished her luck and vanished. Even the building security blocked her path. Pay the management fees, or we take legal action. She was utterly ruined. In dead silence, Shen Shui and her secretary packed their boxes. In her heart, she knew. It was Chen Yuan. Meanwhile, the mastermind himself sat casually on the hood of his luxury car, phone in hand. He muttered about the efficiency of the purge, already thinking about treating his allies to a feast. He slid into the driver's seat and buckled up, pondering a gift for President Xiao. Suddenly, he glanced out the window and jumped. A disheveled figure was clinging to the glass like a ghost. It was Shen Shui, pounding on the window, desperation in her eyes. "I was wrong, please," she screamed through the glass. "Have mercy, spare me, Mr. Yuan." Ding! A system prompt flashed before his eyes. Target Shen Shui bound. Counterattack initiated. The interface showed her favorability was 0. His eyes turned to ice. "Consider this your only warning. Know your place." The engine roared like a beast. He sped away without a second glance, leaving her collapsing in the dust. Dazed on the asphalt, she muttered in confusion as he rejected her. Why did he look so domineeringly handsome? Meanwhile, confusion flickers in his eyes as a holographic notification materializes. The system abruptly announces that Shen Shui's favorability has surged by 10 points. Inside the grand estate, the atmosphere buzzes with electric excitement. Whispers circulate that this magnificent residence now dominates the rankings of top-tier luxury villas. Envious gazes dart around as girls gossip. Convinced President Xiao comes from a lineage of unimaginable wealth. They shamelessly beg her to bring them along to this paradise again. Zhang Lily stomps forward, her voice dripping with skepticism as she demands to know if Xiao truly owns this place. Xiao merely offers a mysterious, confident smirk in response. Zhang steps forward, memories flooding back of the time she visited the prestigious riverside villa with her father during its grand opening. Lily tilts her head with a skeptical look, whispering rumors that a wealthy businessman named Hong acquired this estate. Just then, a friend saunters over to join the gossip. He backs her up, swearing on his life that the rumors are true, and explaining he once attended a lavish birthday banquet here for Mr. Hong's daughter. But suddenly, the gray-haired girl silences the chatter, slamming a stack of documents onto the table with a heavy thud. She reveals the ownership deeds for all to see, proving the villa belongs to none other than Xiao Yuqi herself. Crossing her arms, she smirks at the gossiping group, noting how some people just love lining up to get their faces slapped. Her eyes drift to the entrance, wondering why he still hasn't appeared. Outside the gates, Chen Yuan steps out of his car, clutching a simple gift intended for the birthday girl. As he approaches, he mutters that with so many elite students invited, it's best to keep a low profile and park at a distance. Suddenly, the deafening roar of a high-performance engine rips through the air. Before Yuan can even react, a yellow Ferrari tears past at breakneck speed, forcing him to stumble back to avoid impact. He straightens his clothes as the sports car screeches to a halt at the entrance. The crowd instantly recognizes the flashy vehicle. Whispers erupt. Everyone knows that ride belongs to Senior Tang. The door swings open, and Tang An steps out like royalty. He is the university's idol and the second heir of the Tang group. His eyes immediately land on Yuan, who is standing there holding a cheap teddy bear. Tang scoffs with visible disgust, muttering how pathetic such a childish gift is for someone of Xiao Yuqi's status. Just then, Xiao Yuqi appears, her voice ringing out. She complains playfully that she's been waiting ages for his arrival. Both men turn their heads simultaneously. Senior Tang spreads his arms wide, assuming the warm welcome is for him. He steps forward for an embrace, but in a shocking twist, she glides right past him and walks straight to Chen Yuan. Yuan hands over the teddy bear with a quiet wish. Xiao Yuqi accepts it, beaming with a smile brighter than the sun. The guests exchange stunned glances. The Ice Queen has finally melted. Despite their expensive gifts, no one has ever seen her this radiant. Jealousy claws at Tang's chest like a beast. He silently vows to crush this scruffy nobody who dares to stand by her side. At that moment, a red delivery truck pulls up behind him. Tang smirks, regaining his arrogance. He tells Yuchi that he, too, has prepared a surprise. She raises a brow, giving him a polite nod. Workers unload a massive wooden crate. Tang steps forward with pride, announcing his gift is a limited edition Yamaha original piano. Xiaoyuchi walks closer, the polished black surface reflecting in her eyes. Tang places a dramatic hand over his heart, declaring it the only instrument worthy of her elegance. She hesitates at the extravagant cost, but he assures her that money is mere paper to him, as long as it brings her joy. He pulls out the bench and takes a seat, announcing he has composed a special melody just for this occasion. The moment his fingers grace the keys, the crowd buzzes with excitement. This is Tang's debut performance. Tang's hands glide across the keyboard like flowing water. Each note weaves a romantic spell into the air, while Xiaoyuchi stands by, listening politely. Girls whisper that they look like a match made in heaven. Tang finishes with a dramatic flourish, soaking in the applause. Yuchi offers a sincere compliment, impressed by his undeniable talent. Tang locks eyes with her, feeling victorious. His heart flutters with triumph, but his gaze instantly snaps toward Chen Yuan with malicious intent. With a mocking sneer, he issues an open challenge, inviting Yuan to step up and show everyone his own musical skills. Yuan smirks, instantly realizing Tang intends to humiliate him publicly. He turns calmly and agrees. If Tang wants a show, Yuan will give him one. The guests gather around, hungry for drama. They scoff at his plain clothes, questioning how a pauper could possibly understand the art of the piano. Laughter ripples through the crowd as they prepare to watch him make a fool of himself. Only Xiaoyuchi watches with curiosity, wondering what hidden depths Chen Yuan possesses. Yuan takes his seat at the grand instrument. For a split second, he pauses. He actually has zero experience, but he checks his system interface, finding he has plenty of points to burn. A savage grin forms on his lips. His gaze slides toward Tang, muttering that the rich boy is dreaming if he thinks he's won. He commands the system to dump his points, instantly purchasing over 50 levels of divine piano mastery. An invisible aura explodes around him, shifting the very atmosphere of the room. The guests watch with mounting skepticism, while Tang crosses his arms, ready to laugh. Then, Yuan's fingers descend like thunder. Suddenly, the first notes explode into the air with breathtaking precision. His hands dance across the ivory keys with a speed that defies logic. A flawless melody cascades through the hall, every single chord vibrating with profound emotional depth. Tang stiffens, his blood running cold as he realizes the impossible. Yuan is playing the exact same masterpiece he just performed. A desperate question hammers inside Tang's skull. How can a human memorize an entire score in a single glance? Mid-performance, Yuan cracks one eye open. His lips curl into an amused sneer as he savors the look of utter shock plastered on everyone's faces. A low, confident chuckle escapes his throat. He murmurs that the true spectacle is only just beginning. Without warning, the tempo accelerates to a godlike pace. His fingers become a literal blur, striking the keys with supernatural ferocity. Yet, amidst the chaos, not a single note falters. Tang's arrogant smirk is wiped clean, replaced by hollow disbelief, while the female guests clutch their hearts, overwhelmed by the intensity. The guests lean forward, trapped in a stunned silence. Yuan's performance transforms into a raging storm, lightning fast, yet surgically precise. Murmurs of awe ripple through the crowd like a tidal wave. Some question their own sanity, unable to track the movements of his phantom-like hands. Others gasp, recognizing a legendary, long-lost piano technique known for its brutal training. Every note lands with merciless accuracy, piercing their souls like a barrage of gunfire. Then, with one final, earth-shattering chord, Yuan terminates the performance. He snaps his hands away from the keys with absolute authority. A faint mist coils around his figure, heat visibly radiating from the piano after such a blazing tempo. A deathly silence descends upon the entire villa. The guests stare with jaws unhinged, as if time itself has frozen in reverence. Yuan coolly retrieves his cigarette case and taps one free with practiced ease. He lights the tobacco using the lingering heat radiating from the piano surface, an impossible feat of friction. He steps toward Tang, whose arrogant facade has completely crumbled. Yuan drapes a heavy arm around Tang's shoulders. He remarks that the boy's skills are decent, patronizingly telling him to keep working hard. He gestures with the burning cigarette toward Tang's trembling lips, leaning in close. His voice drops to a terrifyingly calm murmur. The piano is a sacred medium for expressing the soul's emotion. It is not a weapon for petty competition or breeding jealousy. Tang stands frozen like a statue, the cigarette perched between his lips in stunned disbelief. Laughter and warm smiles begin to fill the hall. Guests whisper that they have witnessed true artistry today. They admit that the arrogant Mr. Tang has finally crashed against an immovable mountain. Xiaoyuqi taps her chin, a sudden spark of strategic realization flashing in her sharp eyes. She tells herself she must choose her allies wisely, muttering that Chen Yuan possesses not only godlike wealth, but an artistic depth that towers over mortals. Her gaze drifts toward him as he lounges on the couch, sipping water. A conviction settles deep in her heart. He is truly an exceptional existence. Yuan takes another sip, looking completely relaxed and unbothered by the chaos he just caused. Suddenly, the Azure system interface manifests before his eyes. It displays a sharp vertical rise in Xiaoyuqi's favorability rating. Notifications bombard him. She has pledged her loyalty. Yuan instantly gains 26 elegance points and a staggering 7 million yuan. Yuan murmurs in disbelief, his fingers tightening around the glass. It dawns on him that with this cash injection, he could buy this entire estate without blinking. A predatory grin spreads across his face as he reviews the enhancement of his growing power. Suddenly, a soft, velvet voice reaches him from behind. He turns, and his breath hitches in his throat. Xiaoyuqi sits beside him, so close that the soft curve of her chest presses lightly against his arm. She rests a delicate hand on his chest. Her voice trembles as she admits she has never felt this rush of happiness before. Yuan leans in until their faces are mere inches apart. His voice drops to a teasing whisper, asking her to consider the performance a second gift, before demanding to know how she plans to thank him. A crimson flush blooms vividly across Yuchi's cheeks. Across the room, Tang slumps in defeat, his breath leaving him in a wretched sigh. He hugs his knees, realizing with bitter clarity that he has been completely crushed. Suddenly, a guest shout pierces the air. Senior Chen has arrived. Every head in the room snaps toward the entrance in unison. Murmurs sweep through the hall like wildfire. She is actually here. Yuan tilts his head, intrigued by the sudden shift in atmosphere regarding this Chen. He has heard the name whispered in rumors, yet few have ever laid eyes on the legend herself. Chen, known as the Ice and Frost Beauty, has dominated the campus beauty rankings for 4 consecutive years. Beyond her looks, she reigns supreme as the iron-fisted president of the student union. However, her notoriety stems not from her angelic face, but from something far more terrifying. It is her ruthless, freezing demeanor toward men that makes them tremble in her presence. A single glance from her sends shivers down their spines. While men cower in fear, rumors run rampant. Her coldness has led many to whisper that she might prefer the company of women. Since both Vice President Xiaoyuqi and Chen stand at the pinnacle of beauty, the masses have already fantasized a forbidden romance, assuming the two queens are a destined couple. But this twisted obsession might have roots in the past. According to Chen Yuan's roommate, this woman had once been kidnapped as a child. And perhaps that trauma had rewired her brain forever. Her rescue was nothing short of a miracle. The police arrived just in time, subduing the kidnapper and pulling her back from the brink of despair. However, the trauma left a deep scar. It seems she now harbors a burning hatred for all men. Suddenly, Xiaoyuqi breaks the silence, demanding to know if her beauty outshines that of the cold-hearted Chen. Our protagonist activates his supreme acting skills. He gently lifts Xiaoyuqi's chin, gazing deep into her soul, and swears that in his eyes, she is the most beautiful girl in existence. Deep down, Chen wants absolutely nothing to do with women like Chen. To him, she possesses a terrifying aura, as if she could devour him or any man's soul and all. So, he has no choice but to play the part of a loyal puppy, simply to keep his head attached to his shoulders. Suddenly, Xiaoyuqi's eyes light up, and she waves frantically at a figure approaching them. Chen follows her gaze, but his blood runs cold when he realizes who it is. It's Chen. Panic instantly grips his heart. Chen steps forward, her expression cool and composed. She offers a stiff apology to Xiaoyuqi, blaming the traffic for her delay. Xiaoyuqi brushes it off and eagerly shoves Chen forward. She wants introductions, but our protagonist is trembling like a leaf in a storm. Cold sweat trickles down his spine. With a shaking voice, he manages to greet her, claiming he's heard of her legendary reputation for ages. But the moment Chen hears his name, her eyes narrow. She instantly recognizes him as the performer from the piano recital. As Chen confirms his identity, Chen's expression darkens. She sneers, remarking that he's quite the flower, attracting bees and toying with countless girls. Her judgment is swift and merciless. She declares that men like Chen might have talent, but they lack all morals and ethics. She calls him trash to his face and turns to leave, leaving Chen boiling with rage. At this exact moment, he doesn't just dislike her. He feels a murderous urge rising within him. Xiao Yuqi desperately tries to defuse the situation. She insists the Ice Queen just has a sharp tongue but a soft heart, but Chen isn't buying it. Suddenly, a system window pops up in his vision. Chen has been marked as his new target. Chen stomps the ground in pure frustration, practically foaming at the mouth. First the difficult Shen Shui, and now he's shackled to this nightmare woman. Putting the drama aside, the party continues. Everyone gathers to celebrate Xiao Yuqi's birthday, filling the room with joy and laughter. As Xiao Yuqi happily enjoys her cake with friends, the mood shifts. Chen signals her, pulling her aside for a private conversation. The two of them step out onto the balcony, isolating themselves from the noise of the party. Chen wastes no time. She coldly advises Xiao Yuqi to stay far away from Chen. Confused, Xiao Yuqi demands to know why. The Ice Queen brings up his reputation again, citing his tangled history with women. She claims she's only trying to save Xiao Yuqi from a toxic cycle of heartbreak. Then, she drops a bombshell. Since she is graduating, she intends to hand the student council president seat directly to Xiao Yuqi. Xiao Yuqi freezes, her jaw practically hitting the floor. She recalls their past in the council. They never agreed on anything. They were always like oil and water, standing firm on opposite sides. For Chen to choose her is baffling. Xiao Yuqi starts wondering if the rumors about Chen's preference for women might actually be true. The idea makes her skin crawl with anxiety. Needing an escape, she politely declines the offer. She stammers that she's simply not qualified to lead the student council. She quickly pivots, trying to convince Chen that her relationship with Chen is innocent. But the Ice Queen ignores her pleas. She steps into Xiao Yuqi's personal space, declaring her decision is final. She assumes love has blinded Xiao Yuqi. In her eyes, Xiao Yuqi has lost the dignity and grace required of a high-ranking official. Chuckling nervously, Xiao Yuqi drops her own truth. She plans to resign from the council entirely, just to spend more time with Chen. Chen's expression crumbles into disappointment. She blames Chen for corrupting Xiao Yuqi's ambition and sense of duty. The system reacts instantly to her displeasure. The Ice Queen's favorability score plummets by 10 points. Inside, our poor protagonist chokes on his cake. What did he do? Is eating dessert a crime now? He has no idea that he's taking the fall for Xiao Yuqi's decision to quit the council. Later, as the party winds down, Xiao Yuqi sees her guests off. But as Chen turns to leave, she calls out, stopping him in his tracks. He turns to find her cheeks burning with a crimson flush. Hesitant and shy, she whispers that she has something important to tell him. Walking out of the villa, Chen smiles to himself. With her favorability maxed out, she has become impossibly adorable. He replays the moment in his mind, the shy way she asked him to a movie date tomorrow. She stuttered so much. He almost thought she was going to invite him to stay the night. Just the thought of spending the night with her makes his own face heat up. But his romantic fantasies are shattered by a strange sound. Muttering and sobbing. He scans the area and spots Tangshu. The guy is slumped against his car, looking completely defeated. Seeing his rival so pathetic and alone actually makes Chen nervous. He never expected to find the loser sulking here in the dark. Time to make an entrance. Chen hops onto the car bonnet from behind, startling Tangshu so bad he nearly jumps out of his skin. Tangshu recognizes him instantly, but Chen just smiles, awkwardly telling him not to cry over a silly piano duel. Yet, his eyes betray a different truth. A cold mockery directed straight at Tang. It is a look of absolute superiority that crushes the fragile ego of this so-called young master. Effortlessly, Chen dismisses the tension. He claims Tang is simply being oversensitive, wearing a mask of innocent confusion while looking down on him. Desperate to regain face, Tang explodes. He claims artistic talent is meaningless before the crushing weight of his family's background and political power influence a commoner like Chen could never dream of matching. When our hero responds with only silence, Tang plays his trump card. He reaches into his pocket for his car keys. He dangles the keys with a sneer. Judging by our boy's modest attire, Tang is convinced Chen probably cannot even afford a meager taxi fare. With mocking charity, Tang offers him a ride, but his smirk instantly freezes. His soul leaves his body as he witnesses our hero walking toward a legendary beast, the Ferrari LaFerrari. Without a backward glance, Chen roars the engine to life and speeds away, leaving the stunned antagonist in the dust. Tang's brain short-circuits. How can a man dressed in such cheap clothes command a multi-million-dollar hypercar? The reality shatters his worldview. Meanwhile, cruising in luxury, the protagonist's mind wanders to mundane matters. What movie should he watch with Xiao Yuqi tomorrow? He is even undecided on his outfit. Suddenly, his sharp gaze catches a silhouette. Standing solitary on the desolate roadside is Chen. The night air is biting. Chen can see her trembling as the temperature has plummeted, leaving her vulnerable to the freezing elements. A flicker of concern rises, but he ruthlessly squashes it. Why should he care? She is the Ice Queen. Let her freeze to death. It suits her cold heart perfectly. Chen slams the accelerator, speeding past her like a phantom. He cares not if his indifference costs him another 5 favorability points. But then, a glint in the rearview mirror demands his attention. Shadows have emerged from the darkness, encircling Chen on the lonely road. The situation escalates instantly. One of the thugs has dared to lay a filthy hand on her wrist. These are not mere passers-by. They are predators, radiating malice, intent on harassing the helpless beauty. Feigning concern, they tower over her. They claim the night is dangerous and insist on acting as her unwanted bodyguards. One sneers, promising their protection is free of charge. But the payment they demand is far more sinister, a little entertainment from her. The creeps close the distance, suffocating her space. Fury flashes in Chen's eyes as she warns them to back off or face the wrath of the police. Fear does not register with these lowlifes. They only throw their heads back in maniacal laughter, treating her warning as a pathetic joke. The leader, Bao, licks his lips. He finds her fiery temperament thrilling, like a challenge waiting to be conquered. But pain explodes across his reality. The Ice Queen delivers a devastating kick straight to his crotch. Paper tigers burn easily. The gang freezes in shock as their leader crumples. Terror replaces their lust as they check on their fallen comrade. Seizing the opening, Chen spins and sprints for her life, but Bao, writhing in agony, screams for his minions to capture her. Cold sweat mingles with fear. A quick glance back reveals the nightmare isn't over. 2 predators are hot on her heels. Frustration boils within her. If it were a fair fight, her martial arts would destroy them. But numbers are a cruel disadvantage. Desperate flight meets an immovable object. She crashes headlong into a chest as hard as iron. Shocked, she raises her gaze. It is him. Chen stands like a guardian deity, calmly asking the Ice Queen if she's unharmed. Before she can even process the fact that Chen is here, the gang catches up, surrounding them like a pack of hyenas. Bao, clutching his ruined pants and shivering in pain, howls for vengeance, standing silently behind our MC. Chen's loathing for men deepens even further. She glares at the protagonist with irrational anger. In her mind, his sudden appearance just blocked her path. If he hadn't shown up, surely she would have escaped long ago. Unfazed, our hero issues a cold warning. He reminds the trash that in a civilized society, such barbarism carries a heavy price. He raises 2 fingers. I give you 2 minutes to vanish, or else. But arrogance blinds the foolish. Bao refuses to back down. Sighing, Chen decides to educate them through the language of violence. In the blink of an eye, the scene changes. The thugs writhe on the ground, broken and moaning. Chen simply smirks, dusting off his hands as if taking out the trash. He looks down at the pile of groaning failures, suggesting they heed his advice next time. Our hero turns to the damsel, expecting gratitude, but shock freezes his face instead of thanks. The system chimes, favorability decreased by 5 points. The number is staggering. Her current favorability has plummeted to negative 95 points. Regret washes over him. He literally saved her life. What kind of twisted logic causes hatred to rise after being rescued? Chen can't help but wonder if, in her eyes, there is any difference between him and the dirt on the road. Chen ignores the carnage. Her eyes blaze with cold fury as she demands to know if our MC finds it thrilling to act the hero. However, the Ice Queen's gaze turns cold. She is convinced this is nothing more than a calculated trap. Chen refuses to believe in coincidences. She suspects these thugs were merely pawns in his twisted game to win her over. But then Chen descends like a savior from the heavens to rescue her yet. The Ice Queen isn't having it. She seizes his collar, eyes blazing, warning him to drop the act. Frustration boils over. She demands he stop these manipulative schemes just to pursue her, her voice trembling with anger. She made no effort to hide her disappointment. Utterly disgusted by the fact that Xiaoyu was surrendering the prestigious position of student council president, having said her piece, Chen turns on her heel and walks away, but not before shooting our main character one final, withering look of contempt that Chen finds absolutely impossible to swallow. Refusing to let it end like this, he chases after her, desperate to explain his side of the story, but the Ice Queen ignores his pleas and issues a chilling warning he better take good care of Zhao. Her eyes narrow with lethal intensity as she adds a final threat if he dares to plot against her again. She will personally ensure he can never continue his family line. Once Chen disappears from sight, Chen vents his pent-up frustration by delivering a brutal kick to the head of the groaning creep, Bio, who is still lying on the ground. With anger burning in his chest, he stomps off, swearing a solemn vow to himself that he will never again meddle in other people's business, leaving the scum behind half dead. Our hero strolls away with forced casualness, suddenly realizing he might have just kicked something solid a moment ago, but he simply shrugs off the sensation and keeps moving forward. On the walk back, Chen is still muttering curses under his breath, deeply regretting the moment he decided to extend a helping hand to that ungrateful Ice Queen. However, fate interrupts his fuming when his phone vibrates in his pocket. Checking the screen, he is surprised to see Xiaoyu calling him deep into the night. The moment the main character answers, Xiaoyu's soft voice inquires if he happens to be free tomorrow, and Chen, his curiosity piqued, asks for the reason behind the sudden question. Xiaoyu bashfully informs him that she wants to invite him for a movie, a statement that makes our boy break into a cold sweat because Zhao has already invited him for the exact same thing. It is a coincidence straight out of a nightmare. Meanwhile, sitting on her bed, Xiaoyu's cheeks burn with a crimson flush of embarrassment. In this moment, she is terrified that he might reject her, hurriedly pleading with our boy to say yes, confessing that this is the first time she has ever summoned the courage to ask a boy out. Our hero, being a legendary pro player in the game of romance, immediately agrees to her request, his mind already racing to calculate the logistics. This guy is such a romantic mastermind that he decides to conquer the impossible. He will handle both girls on the same day without getting caught. One date in the morning and another in the afternoon. However, the schedule is tighter than he thinks because a day earlier, the protagonist ran into his friend, Wenqi. At that time, Wenqi was sobbing messy tears of despair because he had been ruthlessly rejected by a girl he liked, even after he had bought 2 movie tickets. Now sitting in his car, Chen waits for his friend, realizing with a sigh that he thought he only had 2 movies to watch, but fate has cursed him with a triple feature today. But Wenqi is our guy's sworn brother, the one who stood by his side when Chen was so broke he could not even afford a proper meal. As of now, the hellish schedule is set a bro date with Wenqi around 2 o'clock, a date with Zhao around 5, and the finale with Xiaoyu around 8. Just then, our hero's attention is snatched by a woman who slides into his passenger seat, busy applying lipstick as if she owns the place. She immediately apologizes for entering the wrong vehicle, claiming she was too focused on her makeup to notice the mistake. Frowning with annoyance, Chen suggests she pay more attention next time and politely tells her to get the hell out of his car. However, this girl suddenly switches her demeanor to act innocent, claiming that while she entered the wrong car, she might have just encountered the right person. In her calculating mind, she has zero intention of leaving. She is not about to let a handsome guy driving such a luxurious supercar slip through her fingers. Reaching for her smartphone with a flirtatious smile, this gold digger asks Chen to add her on WeChat immediately. Our guy coldly refuses, lying through his teeth that he does not own a phone, which enrages the girl enough to make her storm out of the car, right as Wenqi arrives to witness the scene. To Wenqi's horror, she is the exact same girl, Du Xiao, who rejected his invitation earlier with a flimsy excuse. Both our protagonist and Du Xiao are startled to see Wenqi standing there, the atmosphere instantly becoming heavy with tension. Wenqi is visibly shaken because Du Xiao had told him she would be at the hospital all afternoon caring for her sick mother, which was why she could not watch the movie with him. He is utterly puzzled, his mind struggling to process why the girl of his dreams is stepping out of his best friend's luxury car. Wenqi begins to doubt his reality, wondering if something is going on between them, while Chen realizes this is the girl who broke his bro's heart and prays his friend does not misunderstand. Seeing the anger rising in Wenqi's eyes, our guy steps out of the vehicle, ready to explain the situation before blood is shed. Ignoring the explanation, Wenqi points a trembling finger at the gold digger, gritting his teeth as he realizes she was flirting with Chen solely because of the expensive car. He realizes there is nothing romantic going on between the two of them. He is certain of this because he just watched Chen ruthlessly kick this girl out of his vehicle. Hearing his friend's deduction, our guy smiles with relief, thankful that the bond of brotherhood is stronger than a gold digger's schemes. With that, the two best friends drive off into the distance, leaving Du Xiao standing on the road, wondering how a loser with a monthly budget of 800 won knows such wealthy elites. Later at the cinema, the movie has already begun, but Wenqi has not stopped chattering about the earlier incident. Wenqi cannot fathom how the main character manages to attract such high-quality women effortlessly and demands to know the secret technique. Munching on popcorn, Chen states he has no clue, but he is genuinely confused as to why any woman would pursue someone like Wenqi. Chen ruthlessly asks if Wenqi has committed crimes in a past life or if he has no ancestors left to bless him with luck. Meanwhile, two girls sitting behind them cannot help but giggle, assuming the two handsome men watching a movie together must be lovers. However, our protagonist drops some wisdom on Wenqi, telling him to stop chasing girls like a desperate dog, because the more he fawns, the more he looks pathetic. Our guy speaks like a grandmaster giving a TED Talk, explaining that spending money on women is foolish, but investing in yourself to make them come to you is the true path. Witnessing this intensity, WJI's eyes nearly pop out of his skull in pure shock. Suddenly, Chen's cryptic words click into place like a puzzle. The master plan is revealed. Overcome with admiration, WJI grasps Chen's hand tightly, but to the bystanders, it looks like a forbidden romance is blooming between the two men. Chen recoils. The proximity is too much. He awkwardly reminds his bro they are in a public cinema, clarifying that his burden is simply being too handsome and wealthy. Naturally, mere mortals cannot comprehend the complexity of his high-level techniques. To WJI, this TED Talk sounds less like wisdom and more like arrogant boasting. He commands the MC to zip it. Finally, the credits roll, and the duo exits the theater. WJI solemnly acknowledges that our guy has been a massive help, swearing an oath to return the favor whenever needed. But our scheming MC grins. He grabs WJI's hand and tells him to forget the future. He needs that favor in exactly 2 hours. It would be a lifesaver. WJI stands there, utterly bewildered by the specific request and the sudden urgency. Little does he know, the MC is plotting his escape from Zhao to meet Roy Yu. Seeing the boys holding hands again, the fangirls from earlier lose their minds. The verdict is in their eyes. These two are definitely a confirmed couple. Cut to Jiao, standing alone beneath the cinema lights, waiting for her date. She checks her watch anxiously. The movie starts in 30 minutes, and our hero is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, a stranger, Wu Banxi, spots his prey and approaches. He shoots his shot, politely asking for her WeChat ID, but Jiao shuts him down cold. She explains she's already waiting for someone special. Wu Banxi refuses to take the hint. He persists, but she warns him she'll block him instantly. If he keeps being annoying, giving him her contact won't change the fact that she's taken. Suddenly, a heavy hand lands on Wu Banxi's shoulder. A voice warns him, "Stop embarrassing yourself, pal." She said no. He turns around to see none other than the MC, Chen, with a confident wink. Our boy decides to teach this amateur a masterclass in romance. Boom. In a flash, the hero executes a perfect kabedon, slamming his hand against the wall next to her head. His voice drops an octave as he compliments her beauty, inviting her to a private spot for a deeper conversation. Zhao's face erupts in flames. Wu Banxi watches in horror. He thinks our boy's acting like a total hooligan. But then, the impossible happens. Zhao shyly nods in agreement. Wu Banxi's jaw hits the floor. How did that aggressive move actually work? Inside the theater, the mood is tense. Zhao looks dejected. Our boy has been glued to his phone instead of watching the screen. Thinking fast, Chen plays the air card. He nervously claims that urgent family business matters are demanding his attention. Hook, line, and sinker. Zhao's heart softens immediately as she realizes the burden he carries. She imagines the crushing weight of a corporate empire. Ordinary citizens like her could never understand the stress of the elite. Closing her eyes, she recalls his god-tier combat skills. Surely, such power came from grueling training in blood, sweat, and tears. She convinces herself that his brilliance is born from a harsh, unforgiving upbringing. Despite his privilege, he bears it all in silence. He fulfills every duty without a single complaint, a true stoic hero. Overwhelmed by this tragic backstory she invented, tears stream down Zhao's cheeks. She feels terrible. How could she be so selfish? dragging him out to a movie when he's busy saving the family legacy. She seizes his hands in a grip of pure emotion. Chen freezes. He has absolutely no idea why she's sobbing over an action movie. After the credits roll, Zhao tries to extend the date by offering him a meal. Danger, our MC is trapped. He doesn't know how to refuse, but fate smiles upon him. WeChat calls at the exact second he needed a lifeline. It's showtime, Chen answers, feigning a catastrophe. He assures WJI he's on his way to handle the emergency right now. On the other end of the line, WJI stands there, completely baffled by the dramatic performance. Chen hangs up and turns to Zhao with a pained expression. Duty calls, he apologizes, claiming he must rush to his friend's aid. He dashes off. Zhao watches him go, convinced that a serious crisis has befallen him. Safe in his car, the mask drops. A devilish grin spreads across his face. Time for round 2 with Xiaoyu. Chen pulls up to Xiaoyu's new apartment and shoots her a quick text. She replies, down in 2 minutes. Our hero lets out a long sigh of relief. Thank the system. This is the final performance of the night. Exhaustion hits him. This chaos made him realize one thing: he will never again try to multitask when dealing with such troublesome women. At that moment, Ruyu approaches Chen, and the sheer radiance of her presence steals the breath right from his lungs. The elegance she commands, transforming even a simple outfit into high fashion, proves exactly why she is hailed as a peerless goddess of beauty. Although the date has ended, our hero's mind is a whirlwind of calculation, wondering if this perfect evening will yield the romantic reward he desires. Moving with the flow of destiny, Ruyu and Chen enjoyed a flawless date that seemed straight out of a romance movie. From the cinema to a candlelit dinner, every moment aligned perfectly with our protagonist's carefully laid plans. As the night deepened, our hero escorted Ruyu back to her sanctuary, where she gently suggested he return home to rest. She offered her gratitude for his company, but just as she turned to leave, Chen called out her name, halting her in her tracks. With a shy, innocent demeanor, he asked for a single glass of water, a request the charmed girl simply could not refuse. Now, the trap is set. Our guy is freshening up in her shower while Ruyu sits in the lounge, clutching a cushion as her heart pounds against her ribs. Originally, she believed Chen would simply hydrate and depart like a gentleman, but suddenly, he insisted on staying the night due to the late hour, sending Ruyu's imagination into a feverish, blushing spiral about what might happen next. Every possibility flashed through her mind, drowning her in a sea of bashfulness and anticipation. However, fate can be cruel. Her gaze accidentally drifted to his jacket, where 4 movie tickets peeked out from the pocket like a bad omen. As she inspected the evidence, Ruyu's hand trembled violently, overwhelmed by a cocktail of betrayal, shock, and rising fury. The realization that he had already watched the movie with someone else shattered her illusion. Just as our hero emerged from the bathroom with a triumphant smile, his smile instantly vanished when he saw Ruyu's darkened expression. The atmosphere in the room shifted from romance to a freezing interrogation. She demanded the truth immediately, holding up the 4 tickets as damning proof of his infidelity. Rage blazed in her eyes as she clenched her fists, warning him to stop playing games and confess if he was merely toying with her feelings. She could not fathom why he would invade her life only to treat her as just another option among random girls. Chen stood frozen as the system alert rang in his head. Her favorability score plummeted by 20 points as she stood up and banished him from her sight forever. Her affection towards him had crashed down to a precarious 75 points. Lowering his head, our boy's body shook, but not from fear. He had anticipated this disaster and prepared a masterstroke to counter it. The ultimate playboy locked eyes with Ruyu, channeling pure innocence, claiming he was heartbroken that a few scraps of paper could destroy her faith in him. But Ruyu had seen the physical evidence, and she refused to be ensnared by his honeyed words again. Undeterred, our manipulator pulled out his phone, challenging Ruyu to verify the truth with his friend, Wenji. He dialed the number, and after a tense silence, Wenji answered, completely confused by the late-night disturbance. Without a second of hesitation, Ruyu snatched the phone and interrogated Wenji about their cinema activities that day. Groggy and unaware of the stakes, the poor friend explained they had indeed watched Wolf Warrior 14. He elaborated that he had invited a girl named Du Xiaoyu, but after being brutally rejected, Chen had stepped in to accompany him instead. The truth hit Wenji like a lightning bolt. He screamed in realization, finally understanding that Chen was currently with Ruyu at this ungodly hour. Wenji mentally cursed his friend's incredible luck, realizing Chen had managed to score a date immediately after their movie session. Chen hung up and casually continued drying his hair, but the seeds of doubt still lingered in Ruyu's mind. She suspected a cover-up. A sudden thought struck her. Du Xiaoyu was her classmate, providing the perfect opportunity to cross-examine the alibi. She immediately dialed Du Xiaoyu, demanding the full story, and the girl hesitantly confessed that Wenji had indeed invited her, but she had declined. However, she added a crucial detail. She had later seen a handsome man picking up Wenji in a flash Ferrari. Regret dripped from her voice as she admitted she would have accepted the date had she known about Wenji's wealthy connections. Seizing the moral high ground, our boy feigned deep disappointment, acting hurt that Ruyu had gone to such lengths to verify his loyalty. Chen began to walk away with cold determination, ignoring Ruyu's desperate pleas and apologies as he slammed the door shut behind him. The moment he stepped into the hallway, our protagonist let out a massive sigh of relief, wiping the sweat from his brow. His grand plan had nearly crumbled into dust, but his advanced preparations had saved him from total catastrophe. Soon after, Ruyu sent a barrage of apologetic texts, begging for forgiveness for her mistrust the previous night. She preached about the importance of trust, and our benevolent manipulator graciously forgave her, admitting he should have explained the situation better himself. The blue-haired beauty was deeply touched, convinced that the entire misunderstanding was her own fault. She marveled at how Chen took the initiative to apologize, solidifying his image as the perfect gentleman in her eyes. The system notification chimed sweetly. The girl's favorability was climbing, point by precious point. A heavy sigh of relief escaped the main character. He thanked the heavens that his affection points were recovering, and remarkably, they were now 1 point higher than his previous peak. But this was a warning. He had to be cautious. One reckless move had almost played him right into an early grave. It was a stark reminder to distinguish between his bound targets. Some targets were merely tools for utility, while others required the careful maintenance of genuine relationships. He needed to grind those favorability levels until their loyalty was absolute and unwavering. It was time to build his own personal empire. Suddenly, whispers drifted his way. The girls nearby were buzzing about Senior Tang sponsoring an Ultimate Bystander King competition right inside the school gym. Excitement crackled in the air as the female students flocked toward the court, desperate to catch a glimpse of the handsome athletes. Curious, our protagonist decided to investigate. The gym was packed to the rafters, with every voice chanting the praises of the self-proclaimed Mr. Handsome. But to the main character's sharp eyes, this wasn't a competition. It was a stage performance designed for one person's vanity. This so-called ace was simply boosting his fragile ego by hiring actors to make himself look good. Just then, the blonde beauty Lilei and his ex-girlfriend came rushing to his side, followed closely by a stunning black-haired girl. In an instant, our hero became the center of the universe, flanked by 3 gorgeous flowers. Jealousy erupted among the male bystanders. They scoffed, whispering about how he must be bewitching girls to dump their boyfriends. Suddenly, 2 breathtaking beauties from the art school made their entrance. One of them, radiating a fierce aura, silenced the gossiping men instantly. She announced her absolute disdain for cowards who whispered behind a girl's back. Her eyes swept over the crowd, filled with utter contempt for the pathetic males surrounding her. On the court, the basketball star noticed the commotion. Fury boiled within him as he saw the crowd of beauties surrounding the protagonist, ignoring his own macho display. His gaze locked onto Yuchi, the brown-haired girl standing beside the fierce art student. He realized this was his chance to wash away his past humiliations and claim glory. He had been training relentlessly for 2.5 years for a moment like this. There was no way a nobody like the protagonist could defeat him on his home turf. Acting on impulse, he hurled the basketball straight at our boy, but the main character caught it with casual ease, mocking him about his previous loss at the piano and asking if he sought revenge. The basketball star laughed it off, masking his insecurity, claiming he was far above petty revenge. Instead, he issued a challenge, a one-on-one duel, arrogantly offering a 3-ball head start to the amateur. A teammate sneered, warning that the protagonist looked like trash. Unfazed, our hero sarcastically asked if Mr. Handsome was truly desperate to play. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed the ball back toward the challenger. The antagonist smirked, seeing the throw as amateurish until the ball slammed into him with the force of a cannonball, knocking him flat. Panic ensued among the team, but the fierce art student remained unimpressed. To her, men were nothing but brute savages who only knew how to fight. Mr. Handsome had judged a book by its cover, failing to realize the monstrous strength hiding beneath the protagonist's calm exterior. Then, the main character dropped a bombshell. He didn't want a duel, he demanded a 5 versus 5 match to test the entire team's skill, shocking the entire school. The antagonist couldn't believe his ears. Was this guy crazy? The players, the referee, and even the ball were all under his control. This wasn't a game, it was a 1 versus 9 slaughter. The protagonist was walking into a trap and was destined to lose. The whistle blew. The school team immediately began a rapid-fire passing game, locking the protagonist out of the loop. Seeing the hero stand still, the captain grinned. He planned to dominate the court and crush the boy's face into the floor, proving to Yuchi who the real alpha was. But the main character saw through everything. He knew every player on the court was nothing but a paid actor, a mole for Mr. Handsome. He didn't need teammates. The system had just granted him over 30 years of professional basketball mastery. It was time to show them true greatness. The captain charged. Seeing his opening, he leaped for the hoop, ready to end the game with a spectacular slam dunk. But in a flash of lightning, our boy was already there. He blocked the attack with godlike speed. A collective gasp swept through the gym. How did he move like that? It was as if he had used an invisible technique. The teammates whispered in terror. They hadn't seen him move, they had only felt the floor tremble beneath their feet. Mr. Handsome stood frozen in disbelief. Was he playing against a ghost? This had to be a nightmare. Now it was the predator's turn. The protagonist strode forward, ball in hand, but suddenly, the referee's whistle shrieked. A cold smirk touched the protagonist's lips. He had expected Senior Tang to be shameless, but this was a new low. Taking advantage of the pause, the captain scored and smirked. It didn't matter how skilled the MC was. As long as the referee blew the whistle, the house always won. He mocked the hero's sportsmanship. On this court, the unwritten rules of power outweighed fair play. The boy was simply too naive. Murmurs of discontent rippled through the stands. Even the audience began to realize the referee was making blatantly biased calls against the challenger. Even for a friendly match, this level of corruption left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth. The game was rigged. Together, they shifted the blame to Wenji. While Chen could forgive the chaos, he couldn't let his friend's lack of sportsmanship slide. A cold light flashes in his eyes. He has decided to utterly crush this arrogant fool's pride. Moving like a phantom, he weaves past the defenders and strikes a magnificent goal. Furious, the rival captain screams at his own team, losing all composure. The enemy team swarms the protagonist like a pack of wolves, but he leaps into the heavens. The ball smashes into the net, leaving the entire stadium in dead silence. The referee stares blankly, questioning reality itself. How is such a move even physically possible? He realizes the truth. Even in this rigged game, the challenger isn't just playing, he is waging a one-man war against corruption. Memories of his father's teaching surface. True sportsmanship isn't about the whistle. It is about the heart. This player fights for honor. The final score matters less than the fire burning in a team's soul. The crowd finally sees the truth. The opponent's dirty tricks are nothing short of blasphemy against the sacred court. A heavy silence falls over the team. The arrogant rival trembles, wondering if his own squad has lost the will to fight. Virtue conquers all. The protagonist has stolen the crowd's hearts. The rival is seething with rage, staring at the scoreboard, 60-2, total domination. Tang Xun pants heavily, his stamina drained. But the protagonist charges forward like a beast. This is judgment day for the one who mocked the sport. The jealous rival grits his teeth. He thinks blocking this single shot will save his crumbling reputation. Desperate, he throws a vicious elbow at the protagonist's gut, expecting him to collapse. Big mistake, bone meets steel, and a sickening crack echoes through the gym. While the rival screams in agony, the hero scores with casual grace, sending the girls into a frenzy. The system chimes sweetly. Favorability points from the harem are skyrocketing. The protagonist looks down with cold eyes. Tang Xuan is unworthy of the captain's armband. Competing against such trash is beneath him. Yet, the loser remains stubborn. He roars about arrogance, blind to his own failure. Meanwhile, the crowd buzzes with regret, wishing they had captured that legendary dunk on camera. A raven-haired beauty searches for him, water bottle in hand. But she is not alone. Suddenly, Four beauties stand frozen in an awkward standoff, each offering a drink to their king. Outside the campus, the protagonist catches his breath. That was a close call. He wipes sweat from his brow, choosing one girl's water over another. That battlefield is more dangerous than any fight. Later, fresh from the shower, his phone buzzes. A friend request pops up from a user named Amorous Wanderer, heir to a massive business empire. A message instantly flashes across the screen. The protagonist replies, but the response is shocking. The stranger asks a single question: "Do you want a wife?" He stares at the screen, completely dumbfounded. The context is grim. Gao Yin, once the youngest best actress at 22, now drowning in scandal, her reputation is ruined, and she faces a penalty of 30 million. As the heiress of the Gao group, her fall from grace is a catastrophic blow to the entire family business. The mysterious messenger is her brother, Gao Wang. Desperation drips from his words as he begs the protagonist to save his sister from the abyss. The protagonist takes a calm sip of his drink. He types back bluntly, "Are you asking me to marry her?" Gao Wang panics. He quickly explains that the marriage offer was just a hook to get attention, fearing the great master would ignore a normal plea. The truth comes out. His sister is being framed. The public hates her, and the debt is crushing her very soul. All he asks is for the protagonist to buy her villa. The protagonist smirks. He needs a house anyway, and money. Money is merely a number to him. He accepts the offer. It is time to inspect the goods. Gong is ecstatic. He rushes to message his sister, convinced that this powerful man is their savior. He even dares to dream. Perhaps marriage isn't off the table meanwhile. Inside the luxury villa, the actress is waging a war over the phone. She screams at Mr. Tiger, the filth who spread the rumors to blackmail her into submission. She hurls the phone across the room and pummels a pillow in blind fury, but rage quickly fades into despair. She collapses, whispering to the empty room, completely lost. Breach of contract, lawsuits. Why is the world so cruel? All she ever wanted was to act, yet fate is tearing her apart. The phone rings again. It is her brother. He shouts the good news. The money problems are over. He has found a powerful backer to save them. Her eyes narrow. Suspicion creeps into her voice. "What do you mean, a backer?" He explains that Brother Yuan is coming to buy the villa and fix everything. But at the mention of that name, her blood runs cold. In her mind, Brother Yuan is just another creepy, disgusting old man trying to buy her body. She explodes in anger. She accuses her own brother of selling her out to predators. Gao Wang begs her to listen, but she is past reason. He insists the guest is powerful and arriving any second. "Just show him the house and be polite," he pleads, before hanging up in a panic. Furious tears stream down her face. Men are all the same. Even her own flesh and blood has betrayed her. She swears on her pride she would rather starve than accept a cent from a dirty old man. Moments later, a roaring engine cuts the silence. The protagonist arrives in a stunning red Ferrari. He admires the architecture, impressed by the high-class district. So, this is where a fallen star hides. He steps up and rings the bell. Inside, she curses the visitor's impatience. She throws on a coat to cover herself and rips the door open, ready to scream. She prepares to face a wrinkled old creep, but her breath catches in her throat. Standing there is not a monster, but a young, devastatingly handsome man. The beauty stands frozen in shock. Chen greets her with a gentleman's nod and walks inside. And the actress instantly realizes this man must be the legendary Yane. They settle into the plush living room. She tries to keep the conversation professional, focusing on the property, but he waves a dismissive hand. The house is merely a trifle. His interest lies elsewhere. His gaze is sharp as a blade, making her tremble as he declares his true intent. He wants her to belong to him. Suddenly, the system interface materializes in midair. Her profile appears. Favorability is at -35. The counterattack mission rewards are waiting to be claimed. Chen decides to drop all pretenses. In this world, time is far more valuable than polite conversation. The actress feels humiliation burn her cheeks. She intends to mock his arrogance, so she lists impossible demands to scare him off. A supercar worth over 10 million, a suite at One Park Avenue, and 2 blockbuster films with her as the lead, but before her voice can even fade, he interrupts and accepts instantly. In fact, he scoffs at the small request. One suite is not enough. He declares he will buy one for every single member of her family. The actress sits there, completely thunderstruck, her mind unable to process this overwhelming display of wealth. Moments later, her brother bursts onto the scene. He spots the gleaming Ferrari outside and wonders why the guest lingers. Entering the room, he asks his sister why she sits alone while such a beast of a machine waits downstairs. With a trembling voice, the actress reveals the truth. The protagonist has gifted her the LaFerrari. The brother's jaw hits the floor. He whines immediately, asking why a car worth over $20 million was given to her and not him, but she adds another shock: he also gave her cash. The brother guesses it must be a down payment of $1 or $2 million. She corrects him. Showing the bank notification on her phone, it is a staggering $100 million. Greed ignites in his eyes like fireworks. Even if the house isn't bought yet, $120 million in assets has just fallen into their laps. He instantly convinces himself that this tycoon must be deeply in love with his sister. He laughs wildly, already dreaming of his new life as the brother-in-law of a billionaire. Alone with her thoughts, the actress replays the scene the moment he demanded she become his lover. She tells herself she should feel insulted, and yet, she cannot deny that his transaction was clean, decisive, and devoid of sleazy desperation. She recalls his casual promise of the car, the $100 million, and his vow to provide even more. Most importantly, he left without forcing a single touch upon her. A realization dawns on her. He acted with the grace of a true noble, not a villain. Slowly, the ice around her heart begins to melt. Meanwhile, at the university campus, graduation day has arrived. Outside the hall, the tough girl, Xiao Chen, grabs Xiao Yuki's arm. She warns her friend that Chen is dangerous trash and begs her to stay away, fearing she can't protect her once school ends. But Xiao Yuki shakes her head, insisting that Xiao Chen has judged him all wrong. Xiao Chen argues fiercely. She brings up the basketball game, claiming his acceptance of water from so many girls proves he is a disloyal player. Xiao Yuki counters calmly, reminding her that he rejected every single one of them and walked away alone. Xiao Chen is desperate. She claims his heroic rescue on her birthday was just a staged performance to manipulate them. Yuki sighs, telling her she's letting her hatred of men blind her to the truth. She explains that Chen has shown true courage and justice time and time again, pulling out a photo of him receiving a Citizen's Award. The logic is undeniable. He couldn't have staged the rescue because he had no way of knowing Xiao Chen would even be there that night. Xiao Chen freezes, the words catching in her throat. Could she have been wrong? Has she been demonizing an innocent man? Overcome with embarrassment, she turns and flees. Xiao Yuki calls out about their class photos, but Xiao Chen doesn't look back, drowning in her own guilt. Later, back at her office, Xiao Chen tries to compose herself. She resolves to talk to Xiao Yuki later and clear the air. She tells herself that everyone makes mistakes. It is only human. Yet, as days pass, the self-consolation fails to heal her spirit. Xiao Chen remains buried under a mountain of shame. And the worst part, whenever the guilt strikes, it is Chen's face that haunts her mind's eye. Her spiraling thoughts are shattered when the CEO summons her. In the executive office, the boss briefs Xiao Chen on an upcoming high-stakes event. A powerful consortium in Seoul has organized an elite charity banquet. Since Xiao Chen is the most capable assistant, the boss assigns this critical mission to her. She must infiltrate the social circle and secure a future for their company. Rumor has it, a mysterious and legendary tycoon named Mr. Yang has been invited. Xiao Chen feels a wave of disappointment. She thought working for a female CEO would save her from these shallow social games. But this is her very first major assignment since joining the firm. She swallows her pride and accepts, promising to do her absolute best. The boss's expression turns steely. She doesn't just need an attempt, failure is not an option. Meanwhile, our protagonist receives a call from Jang Hayan. The news is explosive. Gao Lang's sister, Gao Yin, is personally moving to expose the corrupt figures in the entertainment industry. The moment Chen hears this, he logs onto his computer to check Weibo, ready to watch the chaos unfold. The protagonist scrolled through the feed, his eyes widening in disbelief. The internet had gone completely nuclear. The comment section was a digital battlefield. Half the world rallied behind Gao Yin, while the rest tore her apart for exposing secrets while hiding her own skeletons. Supporters flooded the timeline, hailing her honesty. They dared the haters to read the clarification post before passing judgment on the goddess. Zhanghua dropped a bombshell that shook the industry. The entertainment tycoons weren't just watching, they were actively hunting the Gao family. It was all because she resisted their dirty advances. That is why he sought to destroy Gao Shenyan's reputation completely. Hearing the truth, Chen realized something crucial. In an industry full of snakes, Gao Shenyan was a rare, unblemished gem. Xiaoyan chuckled darkly before dropping a key piece of intel. A high-stakes charity auction was approaching, attended by the city's absolute elite. He urged Chen to attend, and our protagonist's eyes lit up. A gathering of the wealthy. It sounded like the perfect hunting ground to spend money like water. But before stepping into the spotlight, there was a certain damsel in distress who needed his attention. Chaos reigned at the Gao mansion. Her team was in a panic, desperately creating sock puppet accounts just to upvote positive comments amidst the hate. Gao Shenyan trembled with fury. She had done nothing wrong, yet the internet mob was tearing her apart with lies. It was a losing battle. The enemy's firepower was too overwhelming, backed by an army of paid influencers hired solely to drag her name through the mud. To make matters worse, her secretary delivered the final blow. The company accounts were running dry. They were out of ammo. But just as despair consumed her, her phone buzzed. A notification popped up that stopped her heart. Chen had transferred 100 million yuan directly to her. A flush of red spread across Gao Shenyan's cheeks. He must have seen the war on Weibo and stepped in to save her without a word. She bit her lip, cursing that arrogant spendthrift for showing off his wealth so casually. Yet, despite her tough front, her softening gaze betrayed her true feelings. She was touched. Just like that, a notification rang out in the void. Gao Shenyan's favorability rating skyrocketed. Our boy's plan was a total success. Meanwhile, at the charity auction, Bi Qilin teased Gao Long. The man looked surprisingly sharp, a far cry from his worried state just days ago. With a smug chuckle, Gao Lang dropped a bomb. His sister had gotten close to the mysterious Mr. Yuan. In fact, he was practically considered a brother-in-law now. The entire group froze in shock. Could it be the same legendary Mr. Yuan who dropped billions to acquire shares of the Xiao family like it was pocket change? Whispers of awe circulated immediately. The sheer financial power and influence of this Mr. Yan were beyond their comprehension. Bi Qilin nodded approvingly. After the brutal online attacks, securing such a titan as a backer was exactly the miracle Gao Lang's sister needed. Instantly, the sycophants surrounded Gao Lang, begging for an introduction to the Golden Goose if the chance ever arose. But the real shocker came next. Gao Lang casually revealed that Chen had already agreed to grab drinks with him. They were actually buddies. Suddenly, Xu Yuan stood up abruptly, his face dark. He tried to leave, but Bi Qilin blocked his path, demanding to know where he was storming off to. Xu Yuan waved them off dismissively, claiming he needed the washroom, telling them to carry on with their gossip. In reality, he was seething with disgust. He couldn't believe the dignified Gao family had stooped so low, turning their daughter into some rich man's plaything. Look at them bragging. In Xu Yuan's eyes, that woman wasn't even worthy of carrying Mr. Yan's shoes, let alone being his partner. Xu Yuan knew better. Tonight's charity auction wasn't a party, it was a battlefield. The true powers of the capital had gathered to carve up the city's resources like a pie. It was a war for dominance. This dinner was a front for future alliances, and the mysterious Mr. Yan was the crown jewel. He was the ultimate prize everyone wanted to claim tonight. Xu Yuan had done his homework. He had compiled a flawless psychological profile on Mr. Yan with a margin of error of less than 5%. He was ready. Based on his data, he was certain Mr. Yan was a distinguished elder of the business world, a mastermind operating from the shadows, whose overwhelming charisma and wisdom could not be concealed. Now, standing at the entrance, Xu Yuan smirked. He would be the first to befriend this legend, leaving the others in the dust. In his heart, he issued a silent challenge to Tang Aoji. Watch closely tonight. Xu Yuan would prove he was the only true heir to the Tang Empire. But his grand thoughts were interrupted. His gaze landed on a familiar figure standing outside. It was Chen, wearing what looked suspiciously like a security uniform. Unaware of the stare, our protagonist marveled at the venue. He had really gone all out for this event. He had dropped 20,000 yuan on this custom suit. A tear almost rolled down his cheek thinking about the price tag. But then, reality slapped him in the face. His eyes bulged as he realized every single bodyguard at the gate was wearing the exact same outfit. Was this the standard uniform for the rich? Before he could recover, a mocking voice sliced through the air. Well, look who decided to work security tonight. Chen sighed internally. He really wanted to ignore this barking dog, but he wasn't in the mood to cause a scene just yet. Shu Yuan didn't let up. He sneered, asking if Chen had fallen so low that he needed a part-time guard job just to survive his financial ruin. Keeping his cool, Chen clarified, "I'm not staff. I was invited here as a guest." He shot Shu Yuan a cold look, suggesting he show a little respect since they were practically strangers. Shu Yuan's smirk only widened. "Is that so? Then let's walk in together." He couldn't wait to watch the security team toss this liar out on the street. But at the gate, the guard extended a hand, asking Chen for an invitation card. Chen blinked, momentarily confused. The delay was all the fuel Shu Yuan needed. He laughed outright, mocking our guy for trying to sneak in without a ticket. The humiliation was just beginning. Or so he thought. Meanwhile, the drama was just beginning offline. A luxury sedan glided to a halt before the mansion, and a stunning figure emerged from the shadows. Chen stepped out, her gaze sharp and calculating. This was it, the battlefield for tonight's charity auction. The crowd fell silent, captivated by her radiance. Even the legendary beauties of the Xiao and Gao families paled in comparison to her icy elegance. She loathed these shallow social games, but desperation drove her. She had to secure an investment from the elusive Mr. Yuan tonight. Her company's future hung by a thread, and he was the only lifeline. Suddenly, a harsh voice sliced through the air. Someone was being ridiculed for daring to approach the gates empty-handed. She narrowed her eyes, focusing on the commotion. Shock rippled through her. The target of their mockery was none other than Chen. While she puzzled over his presence, our hero's patience was wearing thin. He swore he was an invited guest, card or no card, but the guards stood like stone statues. Their orders were absolute: no invitation, no entry, no exceptions. Tang Xuan sneered, pouring oil on the fire. Only titans walk these halls without papers, titans like my brother, or the Shark Platform CEO. His grin twisted into a snarl. So tell me, nobody. Who exactly are you supposed to be? Before Chen could unleash his wrath, Chen stepped between them. He is with me, she declared coldly. My invitation covers a guest. Let him pass. Our protagonist clenched his jaw, far from grateful. She was trying to repay a debt, but her timing couldn't be worse. He had a plan, one phone call to crush the Tang family's pride into dust. He was seconds away from a legendary face-slapping moment, but this meddlesome woman had just ruined his perfect setup. He waved her off with casual arrogance. Save your pity, Ice Queen. I don't need a chaperone. I was invited on my own merit. He shot her a sharp look. Stop meddling in my business. This isn't the University Student Council anymore. Fury flushed Chen's cheeks. She had humbled herself to help him, and this was the thanks she got. Her disdain for arrogant men spiked to new heights. Tang Xuan seized the chance to attack. Look at this loser acting like a king while begging at the gates. He laughed, mocking Chen's audacity. You have no ticket, yet you dare insult those trying to save your pathetic skin. The shouting acted like a beacon. Guests swarmed around them, hungry for the spectacle. Feeding off the audience, Tang Xuan raised his voice. Stop dreaming, security guard. A peasant in a suit is still just a peasant. Chen fell silent, a dangerous glint in his eyes. Let the clown dance. The harder he laughed now, the harder he would fall later. Nearby, Baikalin noticed the disturbance. What kind of fool would cause a scene at an event like this? He peered through the shroud, and his blood ran cold. It was Mr. Yuan. Cold sweat drenched his back as he realized Tang Xuan was mocking a god. Panic seized him. He scrambled to dial Xiao Haiyan, knowing a catastrophe was seconds away. Meanwhile, inside the venue, Tang Aoji was buzzing with anticipation. Rumor had it the mysterious Mr. Yuan would grace them with his presence. He was desperate to climb the ladder. Meeting Mr. Yuan could change his destiny, and he needed an introduction. Hao Wen sat beside him, stroking his ego. Don't worry, Yan is like a brother to me, though I respect his privacy too much to gossip. Aoji nodded eagerly. Of course, the whole world knows of your bond with the Titan. Suddenly, Hao Wen's phone rang, shattering the mood. His face went pale, then red with rage. Mr. Yan is being blocked at the gate, humiliated. Aoji's heart stopped. Guessed. A horrific realization struck him. It was his own idiot brother. Tang Xuan, causing the scene, he bolted toward the entrance like a madman. Outside, the oblivious Tang Xuan continued digging his own grave. He sneered down at the silent predator before him. Go back to guarding doors, trash. You don't belong in the world of elites. Chen sighed, his patience evaporating. Careful, boy. You aren't qualified to lecture me. Yuan laughed maniacally. Qualified? Even my big brother bows to no one. My family controls empires. The Tang Group sits on billions. We are kings in this city. A single sneeze from us could shatter your entire existence. As Yuan ranted, a blonde bystander shook her head. This second-generation brat had nothing but his daddy's money and his brother's name. Suddenly, the crowd parted. A storm had arrived. Tang Aoji and Hao Wen stormed onto the scene, their faces dark with fury. Yuan beamed, spotting his backup. Brother, don't worry. I'm handling this trash. Smack. The sound of flesh hitting flesh echoed like a gunshot. Tang Aoji stood over his stunned brother, trembling with rage. On your knees, apologize to Mr. Yan right now. You imbecile. The internet is in an uproar. Yuan is left stunned, while Tangoi, bowing in terror on behalf of his younger brother, publicly apologizes to Mr. Yan for offending a dragon. The truth is finally out. Our protagonist is none other than Mr. Yan, a titan with billions in assets and the supreme guest of honor for today's event. His humble silence only amplifies his lethal charisma, causing reporters to lose their minds as they scramble for a mere autograph from a living legend. The arrogant rival stands frozen, his soul crushed. He is lost to the main character in piano, in basketball, and now he is utterly eclipsed in wealth and status. He couldn't help but wonder, was Chen Yuan destined to be his true nemesis? Hao bowed his head in shame, taking full responsibility for the day's chaos. He admitted his planning was flawed. Failing to call Mr. Yan was a grave oversight. But the main character simply waved it off. With the bond they shared, he would never cast blame for such a minor slip-up. Just then, Director Zhang announced the commencement of the auction, urging everyone to head inside immediately. The blonde beauty, who had once dismissed him as a shallow show-off, now felt the weight of her mistake. He wasn't arrogant, he was terrifyingly low-key. If he revealed his true identity as Mr. Yan, legions of women would throw themselves at his feet. She burned with embarrassment. He didn't need her protection at all. She had only caused unnecessary trouble. The awkwardness of failing her boss's mission weighed heavily on her shoulders. In her eyes, the world revolved around appearances. Meanwhile, Hao leaned in, informing Mr. Yan that the banquet's opening act was the charity auction. This wasn't just about jewelry or antiques. Tonight, company stocks and even prime real estate were on the block. He assured Mr. Yan that these treasures would surely capture his interest. The city of Seoul itself had offered a golden plot of land for the cause. The main character's interest was instantly piqued. It was the perfect opportunity to burn through some cash. Corporate assets and land were notoriously expensive, with price tags easily soaring into the tens or even hundreds of billions. Now, he faced a luxurious dilemma: who should be the lucky recipient of his spending spree. His gaze landed on Chin, but he scoffed at the thought. Why waste money on a woman with a few screws loose? She wouldn't appreciate it. Then, his eyes drifted to Gao Swan Yin. A question formed in his mind. What was a beauty like her doing in a place like this? Her mere presence soothed the atmosphere. He decided right then to etch this night into his memory. She was, after all, absolute perfection. Scanning the room, he noticed the seating hierarchy. A titan like Han Sanu was relegated to the second row, an unimaginable slight for someone of his stature. He glanced at the nameplate directly beside his own, and his breath hitched. It read Chu Teng Hui. That was the name of the supreme leader of Han Chen City. The realization hit him like a truck. If he was seated next to the city's ruler, the name Boss Yan carried a terrifying amount of weight and soul. Suddenly, the doors opened. A young woman in a striking black coat strode in, radiating dominance, and claimed President Chu's seat right next to him. A collective gasp swept through the hall. Such audacity was unheard of, but whispers quickly clarified the truth. That was no stranger, that was Chu Yumo, the sole daughter of President Chu himself. Her entrance was nothing short of legendary. Everyone knew the stakes. The man who conquered her heart would bypass 50 years of blood, sweat, and tears in his climb to the top. The protagonist felt his face heat up, overwhelmed by her devastating beauty. He turned away nervously. Offending a woman of her caliber was a death sentence. Moments later, Mr. Aoji approached Chu Yumo with a charming smile. eager to forge an alliance for his group's expansion. But his ambitions went far deeper than business. He was hunting for a wife. Yumo responded with icy politeness. She wasn't fooled. Beneath his smile, she saw the rot of shallow flattery and transparent greed. Internally, she sighed. She already regretted bowing to her father's demands to attend this insufferable, meaningless banquet. Then, her eyes locked onto the protagonist. To the shock of the entire room, she initiated the conversation, demanding to know his identity. Our main character froze, paralyzed by nerves. His silence, however, sent the wrong message. She hesitated, wondering if her aura was too intimidating. Why was he keeping such a deliberate distance? Cold sweat trickled down his spine. He wasn't being rude. He was terrified the system would force him into a contract with her, a recipe for disaster. Yumo pressed him again, her voice sharpening. She pointed out that his silence was bordering on disrespect. At that moment, Mr. Tang and Mr. Jiang panic whispered from the side. They begged him to answer the president's daughter before heads rolled. Cornered. The boy opened his mouth, but fate had a cruel twist in store. The system interface flashed before his eyes, a new licking dog target activated. The mandate was clear. If Chu Yumo's favorability toward the host surpassed 95, the counterattack would succeed. She would officially become his loyal devotee. The rewards were staggering, 10% of the total, licking dog gold coins transferred to his private account, plus 35 strengthening points and the legendary skill reward Firearms Mystery. Yet, the protagonist could only weep tears of blood in his heart. Once again, he was a puppet dancing on the system's cruel strings. At that precise second, Yumo leaned in, her eyes narrowing. "Wait," she murmured. "I remember who you are." Before he could react, the famous host and actor, Wang Ling, took the stage, shouting, "Let the first treasure be revealed." The first treasure is unveiled, a necklace, a flawless replica of the legendary Heart of the Ocean, forged by the masters of an ancient jewelry house, with a rare heart-shaped blue diamond embraced by platinum and white brilliance. It is a peerless artifact symbolizing a love that transcends time. The bidding war begins at a staggering 120 million. Frenzy takes over the hall. Women swear to marry whoever buys it, while others weep bitter tears, cursing their own fate for not being born into such luxury. The price soars like a dragon, smashing through barriers until it hits 150 million. Suddenly, our young master raises his paddle 300 million. A suffocating silence instantly grips the entire venue. Yumo is left paralyzed with shock. She had dismissed him as a useless second-generation heir, but reality slaps her awake. He is a true heavyweight, a dragon amongst men. Mr. Tang's eyes threaten to pop out as he announces the bid of 300 million. It is a checkmate, for no soul in this room dares to challenge such dominance. With the casual air of a king, the hero insists on gifting this national treasure to Miss Gaoan, who sits quietly in the shadows. Even the icy Lady Gao cannot help but flush crimson as the heart of the ocean is presented to her by Mr. Yuan. She knows his dangerous reputation with women, yet his gesture sparks a forbidden thrill within her heart. Still, she steels herself, refusing to be just another conquest. She is an empress in her own right. She decides to accept his tribute, not as a submission, but as a challenge to show him her own unyielding worth. The auctioneer unveils the second highlight, a holy grail of music, the legendary Hangman Crystal Piano, ranked second among the 10 supreme pianos of the world. This transparent masterpiece was once graced by the fingers of Master Lang himself. The battle begins at 30 million and instantly escalates to 45 million in a heartbeat. As expected, the protagonist casually drops a bid of 200 million, intending to gift it to President Xiao. But a new challenger emerges with 210 million. Yuan narrows his eyes, recognizing the bidder. It is Shangguan Hu, the cherished daughter of the massive Zhen Huo group. The Shangguan family rules the mobile gaming empire, but our hero's pockets are bottomless. He calmly counters with 300 million. Shangguan grinds her teeth and bids 310, but the protagonist ruthlessly jumps straight to 500 million, shattering the minds of everyone present. The auctioneer nearly faints. An item worth 30 million is being sold for $500 million. It is absolute madness. The gavel slams down after the count of 3, with no one daring to breathe, let alone bid. Yuan secures the treasure for 500 million. The wealthy heiress admits our hero has money, but she sneers at him, mocking that a brute like him buying a piano is a waste of a divine instrument. Seeing her seek humiliation, Yan decides to grant her wish. He steps forward to test the piano, ready to show her the difference between heaven and earth. He unleashes 60 years of virtuoso mastery. The moment his fingers touch the keys, the girls in the room are instantly enslaved by the melody. They realize with trembling hearts that his skill far surpasses any living artist in the modern era. Some hallucinate their first love, others weep for lost memories. Even Yin's heart begins to waver as her favorability toward our hero starts to climb. She finds herself questioning everything. How could a man who plays with such angelic purity possess a corrupt soul? Bingshu's favorability explodes by 100 points instantly. She finally comprehends why Yuki lost her heart to this man. Witnessing his godlike talent, infinite wealth, and aura, she realizes he is the perfect idol and feels ashamed for ever judging him. Our protagonist is startled to see the system notification that Bingshu's favorability maxed out, realizing that sometimes raw talent conquers more hearts than money. Yumo, unable to resist the magnetic pull, approaches Yan. She showers him with praise, desperate to exchange WeChat contacts under the guise of discussing professional music techniques. Bingshu also begs for our protagonist's contact, but he coldly rejects her, lazily claiming he forgot to bring his phone. Shockingly, the girl interprets his rejection as a sign of his high standards, convinced he has no ulterior motives. Her obsession only deepens, leaving Yan wondering why fate keeps throwing these mentally unstable beauties into his life. Bingshu refuses to give up. If she cannot have his number, she demands his ID to look it up herself. Our protagonist tries to dodge again, claiming memory loss, but the girl is relentless, demanding his ID number to search the database. Faced with Bingshu's terrifying persistence, Yan finally sighs in defeat and agrees to add her, sending the girl into a state of blissful victory. The auction pushes forward, but the atmosphere shifts as the auctioneer announces a special category of items. These are the bankruptcy assets of fallen giants. Hearing this, our hero's eyes begin to glow with the predatory light of a true businessman. The first fallen empire on the block is Big Cat TV, a titan that once stood proudly among the top 5 live streaming platforms in the nation. Its market value once soared into the billions, but cruel fate and disaster have brought it to its knees, ready for a new master to take the throne. The bidding opened at 50 million, but our hero didn't hesitate. 60 million, he declared, his voice ringing out like a judge's gavel. The sudden silence baffled him. Did they not see the value of Big Cat TV, or were they simply stunned by his boldness? The truth was far simpler. His aggressive bid didn't just raise the price, it crushed their spirits, making them refuse to play his high-stakes game. The auctioneer's gavel strikes like thunder. He announces Yan's bid at 60 million and challenges the room for any final defiance. Going once, going twice. Silence fills the hall, with no one daring to oppose the tycoon. The company is sold to Yan, its destiny now rewriting itself toward legendary glory. Suddenly, Han Shuai's phone vibrates with urgency. It is a message from his private investigator regarding Yan. Sensing a revelation, Han Shuai slips into the shadows and dials the number, demanding every scrap of dirt on Yan's hidden past. The detective's voice trembles slightly. He reveals that Yan is merely a 21-year-old student born in the humble Dian County of Tianmen City, Hubei Province. His lineage seems utterly common. His father, Yan Hong, and his mother, Ma Mei, are simple fruit farmers who manage 2 modest fish ponds. His history is painfully average Shuangfeng Primary School, followed by the 3rd middle school, and now he is just another face at Hujiang University of Science and Technology. On the surface, the dossier screams mediocrity. There is nothing special here. But sir, the detective stammers, he discovered an anomaly that defies logic. Yan possesses a black card account, a tier of wealth held by fewer than 50 individuals on the entire planet. This is no ordinary bank account. It has 0 restrictions. Our protagonist can liquidate hundreds of billions in a single breath without triggering a single alarm. Han Shuai's mind reels in denial. He cannot reconcile the facts. A farmer's son cannot possibly wield the treasury of a nation. No ordinary child goes around tossing hundreds of millions like pocket change. The math simply does not add up. A terrifying realization strikes Han Shuai. The personal information. It must have been forged to manipulate official government records so perfectly. It implies that Yan's true family possesses influence that eclipses the law itself. Cold sweat drenches Han Shuai's spine. He is poking a sleeping dragon, Terrified of vanishing without a trace, he screams at the detective to burn the files and flees the scene before doom befalls him. But walls have ears. A bystander witnesses Han Shuai's panic and spies the dossier. Seeing the fear in a powerful man's eyes, the stranger concludes that our hero must be the scion of a prohibited hidden family. Gossip spreads faster than a plague. The stranger begins whispering his wild theories to the guests nearby. The rumors mutate as they travel. Another guest catches wind of it and rushes to inform the circle of elites about Yan's true identity. He embellishes the tale, claiming Yan is the secret heir of the Chen family, one of the 4 mythical dynasties of China. He speaks of their omnipresent influence and how they rule from the shadows. The man's eyes burn with the thrill of discovery. He is convinced that Yan's emergence signals the Chen family's return to the mortal world. Hearing these whispers, Master Jiang nods sagely. Of course, he thinks. Only a hidden financial dynasty could produce such a monster. Gazing at Yan's casual display of wealth, Jiang realizes his own clan is nothing but an ant before a giant. Meanwhile, our oblivious hero catches snippets of the gossip. He fights the urge to laugh. Only he knows the supreme truth. His legendary patriarch is currently selling apples back home. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The women in the room launch a coordinated ambush. They swarm Yan, offering numbers, house keys, and desperate pleas for a dance. He is drowning in a sea of perfume and expectation. Desperate for an escape route, our protagonist scans the room and locks eyes with Shu Yin in the distance. Apologies. Ladies, my partner awaits. He breaks through the encirclement and strides toward Shu Yin, extending a gentleman's hand for a dance. Shu Yin hesitates. She worries this is another rich playboy's trap, but the weight of the priceless necklace he gifted her earlier presses against her chest. Refusing him now would be a slap in the face. Resigning herself to fate, she places her hand in his. Instantly, Yan pulls her into his embrace. He whispers mischievously, I rejected 18 beauties for this moment. If you stay silent, I will take it as a yes. System alert, divine dancing skill activated. As they glide across the floor, Shu Yin is stunned. This is not the clumsy movement of an arrogant heir. He is a master of the art. His palms are warm against hers. Every spin, every dip catches her off guard, yet she feels perfectly safe. She wonders, is he teasing her? Or is this genuine? But deep down, Shu Yin does not hate this feeling. In fact, her heart begins to race. Ding affection rating increased by 5 points. The crowd watches in breathless silence, mesmerized by their flawless elegance. From the sidelines, the icy beauty Bing Shui observes intently. So that is the girl who received the necklace. She muses. She finds his dedication rare. Yan ignores the scandals, the rumors, and the status gaps. He sees only the woman. Bing Shui had expected him to waver under the temptation of the harem, but seeing him reject them all proves he is a man of unshakable principle. However, a spark of jealousy ignites within her. Why did he reject me to chase after Shu Yin? Her competitive spirit bursts into flames. At that terrible moment, Master Jiang approaches Bing Shui, hoping for a dance. She shoots him down instantly. I cannot dance, she lies coldly, and I have no interest in the elderly. Emotional damage. Jiang's world shatters into dust. Meanwhile, our hero notes the affection increase and smiles the dance was worth every second. But just as he turns to leave, the Ice Queen makes her move. Bing Shui blocks his path, demanding a dance of her own. Witnessing this double standard, Master Jiang bursts into tears of despair. She claims she couldn't dance, yet for Yan, she's willing to break all her rules.